Chapter 1883, Potential Rival in Love, 1. Just like that, Zhou Kun's face was flushed, and Meng Bao did not know if it was from embarrassment or anger. Moreover, he did not say a word along the way and always looked drowsy. Seeing this, Meng Bao's heart ached even more. Little Kunkin had been exhausted recently because he had been so enthusiastic and brave these few nights that she almost couldn't handle it. Fortunately, she was physically stronger, so she had the strength to carry little Kun with her during the day. Although she was tired, she felt happy when she thought of little Kunkin's fiery enthusiasm. All her fatigue was swept away. Along the way, Leng Ruoxue and the others hurried along during the day and looked for a place to set up camp at night. As for Zhou Kun and Meng Bao, they would be so eager to get into their tents at night. After dinner, Leng Ruoxue and the rest gathered around the fire and chatted as usual. A familiar sound rang in their ears. Seeing this, Leng Ruoxue raised her hand and cast a few spells, creating a soundproof barrier to block the sound from the outside. These two people were too good at disturbing people. Ji Yun, how much did you drug Zhou Kun? Yu Chen glanced at Ji Yun and said in a speechless manner. However, what made him feel even more incredulous was that the medicine took effect at intervals. Basically, they were fine during the day, but when it was late at night, the two of them would lose control of themselves, especially Zhou Kun. Not much, about a month's worth. Ji Yun said disapprovingly after some thought. Hearing his words, Yu Chen couldn't help but wipe the cold sweat on his forehead. A month's amount is not much? Then how much would be considered a lot? However, Zhou Kun really deserved to die. He actually dared to have designs on them. If they did not teach him a lesson, he would definitely rebel. As if he thought of something, Yu Chen said, Ji Yun, there are still more than 10 days left before we leave this place. By then, we will definitely have a big fight with others. If Zhou Kun continues to be so weak, he will drag us down. In my opinion, why don't you give him the antidote for the time being? If he is still alive after we leave this place, I will support you even if you give him 100 years of the antidote, let alone a month. Yes, I know what I'm doing. I won't let him drag us down. Ji Yun promised. In fact, he wanted Zhou Kun to enjoy himself for a few more days before he would secretly feed him the antidote. That's good. Hearing Ji Yun's words, Yu Chen was relieved. The next day, when Leng Ruoxue and the others walked out of the tent, they were surprised to find that Zhou Kun was already waiting for them. Moreover, his complexion was obviously much better, at least not as pale as before. However, he and Meng Bao had been pulling and tugging at each other. He wondered what they were doing. What are you guys doing? Leng Ruoxue and the rest asked curiously. During this period of time, these two people had added a lot of after-meal topics for them, so they had to show some concern. Little Kunkin's body is too weak, but he won't let me carry him. Upon seeing Leng Ruoxue and the others, Meng Bao immediately complained. That aggrieved look, coupled with her tall and strong body, really made people feel strange no matter how they looked at it. Little Kun, how could you reject Baobao's good intentions? Ji Yun suppressed his laughter as he feigned being unable to bear it. I have my hands and feet, can't I walk on my own? Why are you letting someone else carry you? Zhou Kun roared angrily. As soon as he thought of that, the flames in his heart would burst out. It's true that you have arms and legs, but unfortunately, your body has been too weak recently. If it weren't for Leopard holding you, I'm afraid you would have fallen behind. So, you have to thank her for not abandoning you. You must know how to be grateful, and you will get your retribution for being ungrateful. Ji Yun said disapprovingly. Hearing his words, Meng Bao's expression became even more aggrieved. Little Kunkin isn't an ungrateful person. He's just too shy. Meng Bao spoke up for Zhou Kun. He's shy? Ha! In this world, anyone can be shy, but he isn't. When Ji Yun heard this, he couldn't help but laugh as if he had just heard a great joke. You don't understand him. In fact, little Kunkin is a very introverted child. Meng Bao said, Ah. Ji Yun looked at Meng Bao and then glanced at Zhou Kun. He felt nauseated. However, Zhou Kun vomited it out before he did. Little Kun, what's wrong? Why did you vomit? Upon seeing that, Meng Bao turned pale with fright and hurriedly rushed to Zhou Kun's side. He hugged him tightly in his arms and patted his back to comfort him. Cough, cough. Zhou Kun coughed twice, and his face turned pale again. Damn it. This fellow's hand was so strong, he would be slapped by her for no reason. I'm fine, she said. Zhou Kun said after he calmed down. You said you were fine, but you vomited. Meng Bao growled nervously. I said I'm fine, so I'm fine. Zhou Kun said impatiently, but he couldn't help but think that it would be great if Leng Ruoxue was the one who cared so much about him. He had to admit that he was still daydreaming about something that would never come true. Bao Bao, don't worry. This is a normal reaction. I should congratulate you for becoming a mother soon. At this moment, Ji Yun interjected. When Leng Ruoxue and the others heard Ji Yun's words, black lines appeared on their foreheads. Does this fellow mean that Zhou Kun is pregnant? However, Zhou Kun obviously had not reacted yet. And this idea was really too different. The few of them muttered to themselves at the same time. However, in order to cooperate with Ji Yun, they all looked at Zhou Kun with burning eyes, which made Zhou Kun even more annoyed. Going to be a mother? Ji Yun's words made Meng Bao a little dumbfounded. This good news came too suddenly, and she was not mentally prepared for it. But your little Kun is too weak, so you have to take good care of him. After all, he's now a dual-bodied person. Ji Yun warned. This time, he was very straightforward, and Zhou Kun and Meng Bao both heard him clearly. Damn it! What did you just say? I dare you to say that again. Upon hearing Ji Yun's words, Zhou Kun was a little angry from embarrassment. He was a man. That coward from the Ji family actually said that he was pregnant. Wasn't he deliberately trying to anger him to death? After all, it was a woman's business to have a baby, and he had no right to do so. The more he thought about it, the angrier he got. Congratulations, little Kun. You're pregnant. Ji Yun did not care about Zhou Kun's fierce look at all and congratulated him with a smile. Fuck. I'm a man. Zhou Kun gritted his teeth and said fiercely. I didn't say you're a woman. Ji Yun's smile was very annoying. That Ji Yun, how could little Kun have a child? Meng Bao also asked in confusion. She had originally thought that Ji Yun was talking about her. Only now did he know that the person Ji Yun said was going to give birth to a child was actually little Kun. This was simply impossible. Even if she didn't have any common sense, she knew that a woman gave birth to a baby, and men didn't have that function. Chapter 1884. Potential Rival in Love, 2. Hee. I'm just guessing based on his reaction. However, we're all cultivators, so we should be very clear about the abnormalities in our bodies. So, let him check it himself, won't we know if he has it or not? Ji Yun suggested. I'm going to make you give up on this idea right now. Ji Yun's suggestion was exactly what Zhou Kun wanted. After he said that fiercely, he used his divine consciousness to explore Ji Yun's body and carefully examined it. How could this be possible? After checking Zhou Kun's body, his face turned paler and paler. Upon seeing that, Meng Bao was frightened and shouted loudly, Little Kunkin, what's wrong with you? Don't scare me. However, Zhou Kun only looked into his body and did not give Meng Bao any response. It could also be said that he was completely in a dazed state because he discovered that there seemed to be a life aura in his dantian that did not belong to him, but was closely connected to him. This fact made his heart sink involuntarily. How could this be? He even wanted to die. Little Kunkin. Unwilling to give up, Meng Bao continued to call out and tugged Zhou Kun's sleeve with all his might. Unfortunately, Zhou Kun still did not respond and was immersed in his own world. Bao Bao, calm down. He should be fine. He just can't accept that he's going to have a baby. Ji Yun advised. Oh, is he really fine? Meng Bao was still worried. He'll definitely be fine. Don't you worry. Ji Yun gave Meng Bao a consoling look and promised. That's good. Meng Bao was relieved for the time being. Besides, she had to digest this good news properly. She was actually going to be a mother, and the child would be born from the belly of her child's father. This was really amazing. She was so happy that she was too lazy to investigate why Zhou Kun could give birth to a child. After all, this was the divine realm, and anything was possible. All of a sudden, Zhou Kun burst into tears. Then he ran back to his tent without looking back. "Little Kunkin!" Meng Bao cried out in worry. "You should go and comfort him. I'm guessing he won't be able to accept this fact for a while." Ji Yun hurriedly urged. Oh, I'll go comfort him immediately." After saying that, Meng Bao, who was at a loss, also ran away. After the two of them left, Leng Ruoxue and the rest turned their gazes towards Ji Yun. They looked at him steadily without saying a word. Ji Yun's hair stood on end from their gazes. Cold sweat involuntarily trickled down his forehead. He wiped the cold sweat off his forehead with lingering fear. He couldn't take it anymore and said, "Don't look at me like that, I'm scared." These wolf-like gazes seemed to want to eat him up. Oh, how could they bully him like this? Ji Yun felt wronged. "What did you do?" After a long while, Leng Ruoxue asked with a faint smile. She did not believe that Zhou Kun, a grown man, would be pregnant. "I didn't do anything." Ji Yun blinked his eyes and said innocently, "Leniency to those who confess, severity to those who resist. It's your choice." Leng Ruoxue didn't waste any words with him and directly gave him two choices. "Can I choose the third option?" Ji Yun said with a fawning smile. "There's no third option." Leng Ruoxue's beautiful eyes were half squinted as she looked at Ji Yun with an unfriendly expression. "Oh, you're such bullies. What exactly do you want me to do?" Ji Yun couldn't bear the enormous pressure and said with a sad face, "We just want to know what's going on with Zhou Kun's pregnancy. Are you the one behind it?" Yu Chen sighed softly and said somewhat helplessly, "If it was really Ji Yun who was playing tricks on Zhou Kun, he would not be worried. He was only afraid that Zhou Kun was really pregnant. If that happened, it would be difficult to handle." Although he had not heard of any man who could give birth in the divine realm, just because they did not know did not mean that it did not exist in this world. "If I say that he really has it, would you believe me?" Ji Yun cautiously asked. "What do you think?" Yu Chen asked. "All right, I admit that I did something to him." Ji Yun confessed honestly. "How did you do it?" Leng Ruoxue was a little curious. Ji Yun had actually made Zhou Kun mistakenly think that there were signs of life in her body. This was not an easy thing to do. "I once obtained a pill by chance. That pill has the effect of simulating the characteristics of life, so I gave it to him without him knowing." Ji Yun said smugly. "So that's how it is. It's a good thing that he's not really pregnant. Otherwise, we'd be in big trouble." Yu Chen heaved a sigh of relief after hearing this. "How can our trouble be big?" Ji Yun didn't understand. "If he really has it, can we immediately set off? Not only that, but Meng Bao might even need us to help take care of him. Don't you think we're in big trouble? I don't want to take care of that pregnant woman." Yu Chen gritted his teeth and emphasized the word, pregnant. Haha. Seeing Yu Chen's reaction, Leng Ruoxue and the rest could not help but laugh. At this time, Zhou Kun, who had already hidden in the tent, was in an extremely low mood. He had it. He actually had a child. He didn't become the first eunuch in the divine realm, but was about to become the first man to give birth to a child in the divine realm. This fact was also something that he couldn't accept. Zhou Kun lowered his head, and tears streamed down his face. All of a sudden, he was hugged by a strong arm. The owner of the arm looked at him with a distressed expression and said, "Little Kunkin, I know it's hard for you to accept this, but there's no point in being depressed now. Let's just get over it. Be good. We're going to have a baby, hee. This is really good news." After Meng Bao comforted Zhou Kun a little, he was so happy that he forgot himself again. However, Zhou Kun became even angrier when he heard her words. "Good news, my ass. If you're pregnant, it might be good news, but I'm the one pregnant now. How is that good news? If outsiders were to find out, how would I have the face to continue living in the divine realm in the future?" Zhou Kun was furious, and he had no way to vent the anger in his heart. He felt a sharp pain in his chest. "But things have already come to this. What else can we do?" Meng Bao said helplessly. She knew that little Kunkin was in a bad mood, so she could only coax him patiently. Zhou Kun was a little speechless. Damn it. If he knew what to do, wouldn't that be good? Little Kun, let's get married immediately after we leave the elite conference. Otherwise, wouldn't our child be an illegitimate child? Seeing that Zhou Kun seemed to have calmed down a little, Meng Bao made a suggestion. Married? There are still 10 days left until the elite gathering. Anything can happen in these 10 days. So, let's think about how to save our lives here first. As for marriage, we can talk about it later. Zhou Kun said perfunctorily. Although he had the ugly woman's child, he still did not want to marry her. Chapter 1885. Potential Rival in Love, 3. Little Kunkin. Don't worry. With me around, I'll do everything I can to ensure your and our child's safety. Meng Bao promised. I'm afraid you won't be able to handle it. Zhou Kun understood that when the day of the decisive battle came, it would be good enough if Meng Bao could protect himself. He would not be able to take care of Zhou Kun. Little Kun, you have to believe me. I'll definitely place your and our child's safety as my top priority. Seeing that Zhou Kun did not seem to believe her words, Meng Bao assured him again. Then, he acted cute and coquettishly, finally making Zhou Kun believe him. In fact, Zhou Kun was just annoyed by her. Hence, he had no choice but to pretend to believe her. In the next few days, Zhou Kun remained sickly and could not eat anything at all. Upon seeing that, Meng Bao, who was trying to please him, almost turned white from worry. With no other choice, Meng Bao could only seek help from Leng Ruoxue. In the tent, Meng Bao looked at Leng Ruoxue uneasily and mumbled, Miss Leng, I need your help. If you want me to persuade Zhou Kun to eat on your behalf, forget it. Leng Ruoxue said, cutting off Meng Bao's words. But he doesn't want to eat, but I know he'll listen to you. Please help me persuade him. Meng Bao pleaded. Miss Meng, Zhou Kun is just suffering from morning sickness. If he really can't eat, you don't have to force him. He's already a god anyway, so he won't starve to death even if he doesn't eat. As for the child in his stomach, you don't have to worry about it. The child of a god isn't that weak. In fact, in her opinion, Meng Bao was even more abnormal than Zhou Kun. After all, Zhou Kun was just depressed and could not accept the fact that he was pregnant. However, what about Meng Bao? However, she had been busy for the past few days. Miss Meng, we have to leave this place tomorrow. Leng Ruoxue reminded him again. Due to Zhou Kun's pregnancy, they had been delayed for a few more days, and they could not afford to delay any longer. Miss Leng, there's no need to leave in a hurry. We might be teleported to a place with many people. Knowing that Leng Ruoxue was anxious to compete, Meng Bao revealed a secret. Hearing this, Leng Ruoxue's pupils contracted. She squinted her beautiful eyes and said indifferently, Are you saying that we will be transported to other places? I'm just saying that it's possible, because the situation is different every year. If the battle in that year is relatively intense, we won't be teleported away. However, if there are too many contestants like us who haven't fought a single battle, we might be gathered together. Meng Bao explained. There's such a situation? Leng Ruoxue had never heard her godfather mention this before, so she was really not sure. However, such a situation has only happened once in history, and it has been a long time, so I guess that many families have forgotten about it. Meng Bao said, Since you knew, why didn't you tell us earlier? You made us run around like headless flies. Leng Ruoxue complained. I can't think of it at the moment. Moreover, this situation isn't absolute. I just feel that it's possible for us to do so, and it may not be what I think. Meng Bao observed Leng Ruoxue's expression and asked carefully. So, you're willing to take a gamble for Zhou Kun's sake? Leng Ruoxue asked, clearly aware that Meng Bao would not have remembered this if it were not for the fact that Zhou Kun was pregnant and could not travel in a hurry. Of course, it was also possible that she wouldn't tell him even if she knew. We haven't even fought before. I believe that the God Lord's estate will have other arrangements. Meng Bao said with certainty. If it's not like what you said, and we weren't teleported together, what should we do? Leng Ruoxue asked indifferently. Then there's no loss for you to stay here. There's no one else here, and we don't have to fight to the death, nor will we get hurt. When the time comes, we'll naturally be able to leave. Meng Bao said with a smile. Right now, she really needed Leng Ruoxue and the others by her side. Therefore, she must not let them leave. After all, if she were to encounter an opponent, it would be a little difficult for her to protect Zhou Kun alone. If everyone thinks the same way as you, then what are we doing here? Are you traveling? This woman has really fallen into Zhou Kun's love net, Leng Ruoxue said, feeling a little speechless. Look at how she pampers Zhou Kun. She's almost worshipping him. Hee. Peace is the most important thing. It's boring to fight and kill, isn't it? Meng Bao said with a sneer. When we first met, it seemed like you already wanted to fight us. Leng Ruoxue reminded him with a half-smile. It was a misunderstanding. That was a misunderstanding. We're also friends after a fight. Meng Bao chuckled. She didn't deny that she had the desire to fight, but that was different now. Little Kunkin was pregnant. If she fought with others like before and accidentally hurt little Kunkin, it would be a life-and-death situation. Out of blows, friendship grows. Since you've said so, we'll have to risk our lives to accompany you. Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. After hearing Leng Ruoxue's words, Meng Bao's face lit up with joy. However, Leng Ruoxue's next words caused her anticipation to drop to the bottom of the valley. However, don't expect me to persuade Zhou Kun for you. Leng Ruoxue continued. Can't you? Meng Bao still wanted to persuade Leng Ruoxue. We can't. Leng Ruoxue interrupted Meng Bao's words and said without any room for discussion. All right then. Looking at the stubborn Leng Ruoxue, Meng Bao knew that he would not be able to convince her. She had already given him face by staying, so he should not force her to do anything. After saying that, Meng Bao turned around and left resentfully. Not long after she left, Ji Yun and the others ran in sneakily. Ruoxue, what did she say to you? By the way, shouldn't we be preparing to leave? Ji Yun asked in rapid succession. There's no rush. We'll stay here until the end of the competition. Leng Ruoxue said after some thought. Ah. Leng Ruoxue's words left Ji Yun dumbfounded. He didn't hear her wrong, did he? The person who wanted to leave the most had actually taken the initiative to stay. Seeing that Ji Yun and the others were puzzled, Leng Ruoxue repeated what Yao Bao had told her to them. After hearing it, Ji Yun and the others all fell silent. I still have to fight. Ji Yun's face was teary as he spoke with extreme reluctance. Of course we have to fight. Why else would you come here? Are you here to play? Yuchen said, somewhat speechless. Ji Yun's words made him have the urge to beat someone up. How did you know that I came here to play? In fact, I'm just a bystander. Who asked me to be the young master of the Ji family? I had no choice but to come. Ji Yun's tone was filled with grievance. Yu Shu gritted her teeth upon hearing this. It seemed that the Ji family had really spoiled Ji Yun. Chapter 1886, Interrogation 1. As he thought of this, Yu Chen's gaze turned to Ji Wu and Ji Tao, and he communicated with them with his eyes. Is this the young master of the Ji family? Ji Wu and Ji Tao returned Yu Chen's gaze with absolute certainty. In reality, the two of them had no way of dealing with Ji Yun's temper. Even the Ji clan's ancestor had to admit defeat when facing Ji Yun, let alone them. This was because sometimes Ji Yun was really. Seeing their expressions, Yu Chen lost his temper. Sister Ruoxue, since you've decided to stay here, then well stay here. Yu Chen sighed and changed the topic. After receiving Yu Chen's affirmative answer, Leng Ruoxue turned her gaze towards Ji Yun and the other two. Without waiting for Leng Ruoxue to ask, Ji Yun immediately expressed his stance in a very obsequious manner. Ruoxue, I'll be wherever you are. Is that so? Suddenly, an ice-cold voice sounded out of nowhere, causing the temperature around them to drop. When Ji Yun and the rest heard this voice, they could not help but shiver. On the other hand, Leng Ruoxue's face was filled with joy as she hurriedly left the tent. The moment she stepped out of the tent, Leng Ruoxue saw a peerless and magnificent man standing outside. In an instant, She was like a swallow returning to its nest as she threw herself into the man's embrace. The man was also hugging Lung Ruoxue tightly. When Ji Woo and the others came out and saw this scene, their eyes immediately widened in disbelief. What was this situation? Ji Yun's reaction was even more direct. He immediately roared, "Let go of Ruoxue." After he finished speaking, he wanted to rush forward and pull the two people who were tightly hugging each other away, but he was stopped by Ji Woo and Ji Tao. "Why are you guys pulling me? Quickly let me go, can't you see that little sister Ruoxue is being bullied?" Ji Yun was furious. He glared at the man's arms that were wrapped around Lung Ruoxue. He wished he could burn a hole in them. It's too much of an eyesore, isn't it? It was really an eyesore. Ji Yun was going crazy. He hadn't even hugged little sister Ruoxue before. Now, it was actually snatched by a guy who came out of nowhere. It was really preposterous. "Young master, don't embarrass yourself, the two of them should know each other." Ji Tao couldn't help but send a mental message. Ji Yun, who was burning with jealousy, couldn't see the situation clearly, but couldn't they? Moreover, that man didn't look like someone to be trifled with. His Ji Yun was probably no match for him. They were well aware of this, so they naturally wouldn't allow Ji Yun to do something he shouldn't have done in his rashness. How is this possible? Ji Yun stupidly muttered to himself. He was unwilling to believe this truth, because whether it was in terms of appearance or cultivation, that man was much stronger than him. Woo! One was the bright moon in the sky, while the other was the dust on the ground. There was simply no comparison between the two of them. However, he, who had always been self-aware, knew that the dust was him. "Young master, calm down. Well, no once we ask." Ji Tao consoled her. The truth was clear, so there was no need to ask. After all, they had been together with Lung Ruoxue for quite some time. Although that woman looked very friendly, there was a hint of alienation in her friendliness. However, before they could ask about the man's identity, Lung Ruoxue took the initiative to introduce him to them. "He's my fiancé, Yechen," Lung Ruoxue said with a faint smile. Her beautiful eyes stared unblinkingly at the devilish man in front of her. During this period of time, she really wanted to be a devilish man. "Hello. I've long heard of your great name." Ji Woo and Ji Tao hurriedly replied while secretly sizing up Yechen from the corner of their eyes. When Ji Yun found out that this man was Ruoxue's fiancé, he immediately became listless from the huge blow. "Heavens! You don't have to provoke me like this. What an unparalleled handsome man." Ji Woo and Ji Tao secretly praised him. Although they had always admitted that they were pretty, compared to this demonic man, the difference was like heaven and earth. There was no way to compare them. In addition to his cold temperament, he had the ability to cause the surrounding temperature to drop by a lot, which was something they did not have. Previously, they had been gossiping and guessing what kind of man was qualified to be Lung Ruoxue's fiancé. After all, Lung Ruoxue was a peerless beauty in their eyes. Hence, they had already determined in their hearts that a man who was worthy of Lung Ruoxue would definitely not be an ordinary man. Today, they had finally met this man who had been known for a long time. He was indeed worthy of his reputation. The two of them, be it their appearance or temperament, were very compatible. Furthermore, when they saw the beautiful couple snuggling together, they actually felt that it was so natural, and so pleasing to the eye. At this moment, if someone wanted to destroy this beautiful scene, they would find it unbearable. Unfortunately, there were always people who didn't know what was good for them. "Young Master Yi, who is this young lady?" Suddenly, a gentle and beautiful voice interrupted abruptly, breaking the originally quiet atmosphere. When Ji Woo and Ji Tao saw that someone had ruined this beautiful atmosphere, they were instantly enraged. However, when they saw the face of the person who had spoken, they were both dumbfounded. "Sister Min," the two of them said in unison. They didn't expect the person who ruined this beautiful atmosphere to be their eldest miss of the Ji family. What should they do now? Ji Woo and Ji Tao looked at each other, feeling helpless. When Lung Ruoxue heard Ji Min's words, she didn't even look at Ji Min. Instead, she turned her beautiful eyes towards the demon. Seeing this, the demon's expression remained calm and composed as he brought Lung Ruoxue into the tent. When Ji Min saw this scene, her lungs almost exploded from anger. Damn it! These two people actually ignored her existence like this. Since when had she ever received such treatment? Who's that woman? Ji Min was so angry that she grabbed Ji Tao's collar and pulled him in front of her. She couldn't help but ask. It's his fiancée. Ji Tao told the truth. At this time, his reaction was slow, but he also knew that his haughty eldest miss had fallen for that demonic man. However, looking at the state of their relationship, it would be difficult for outsiders to intervene. At the thought of this, Ji Tao looked at Ji Yun worriedly. This pair of siblings could really be considered to be in the same boat. However, Ji Yun seemed to be in a better state as he had always been carefree since he was young. It was hard to say for Ji Min. Although Ji Min was the eldest young lady of the Ji family and one of the most dazzling leaders of their generation, and was considered an idol-level figure in their hearts, after being with Lung Ruoxue for this period of time, Ji Tao was very clear about Lung Ruoxue's character. She was not easy to get along with. If Ji Min met her, she might not be able to gain any benefits. More importantly, Lung Ruoxue was their savior, so he was 1,000 times more. They really didn't want Ji Min to have any ideas about her fiancé. If the two of them had any conflicts, they would feel very embarrassed. Chapter 1887. Interrogation 2. They should have helped Ji Min, but they would feel sorry for Lung Ruoxue if they did that. Ji Min was not in the right, but she was still a member of the Ji family. So they did not do anything to her. Ji Tao began to feel conflicted. Fiancé. Ji Min narrowed her eyes, and a thought-provoking light flashed in the depths of her beautiful eyes. She didn't expect that young Master Yi really had a fiancé. She thought that they were just perfunctory with her. What should I do now? Miss Ji, I've told you before that Commander Yi is my Miss Fiancé. Now you should believe me. At this time, another helpless voice rang out. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice and saw two beautiful women standing not far away from them. One of them was wearing green clothes and the other was wearing pink clothes. The one who spoke was the woman in green. These two people were Lu Tao and Zuizhu. Green Peach. Was that woman really your family's young miss? Ji Min asked with a slight suspicion. How can this be fake? Don't tell me we don't even recognize our own miss? Lu Tao rolled her eyes and said, somewhat speechless. When they first met Ji Min, they felt that Ji Min was a very open and generous person and was easy to get along with. However, ever since she met Commander Yi, Ji Min seemed to have changed into a different person overnight and became a stranger to them. Perhaps this was the real her. Since that woman is your family's young miss, why didn't you all go up and acknowledge her just now? Ji Min was still very suspicious and raised a new question. We do want to go forward, but Guild Leader Yi clearly wants to spend some alone time with my young miss. If we go forward, won't we attract Guild Leader Yi's hatred? As a human, you should know your place and not do such a disgusting thing. Otherwise, you won't even know how you died. Green Peach said with a hidden meaning. These words were clearly directed at Ji Min, but Ji Min didn't intend to take Green Peach's warning seriously. After all, Green Peach's identity was obvious. She was willing to let go of her identity as the young lady of the Ji family to befriend him, which was already a great honor for her. How could she allow Green Peach to ruin her marriage? From the first time she saw Yechen, her eyes and heart had been filled with that man's figure. She could no longer tolerate anyone else's existence, so for the sake of her own happiness, she had to take a gamble. Not to mention that Lung Ruoxue only had a fiancé. Even if she already had a wife, she still wanted to snatch the only man that she liked from another woman. After she made up her mind, she saw Lung Ruoxue as her greatest love rival in this life. However, she thought of herself as a wise woman. Even if she wanted to snatch her love away, she had to pay attention to the method and strategy. She could not give others the chance to gossip. Fortunately, Lung Ruoxue was still unaware of Ji Min's thoughts. Otherwise, she would definitely mock her for wanting to be a whore and yet wanting to have a good reputation. When will they come out? Ji Min asked as she looked at the tightly shut tent. When she said this, Her expression was normal, but in fact, her heart was already in turmoil. She was jealous. He was so jealous that he was about to go crazy. Why wasn't she the woman inside? Throughout the entire journey, Yichen had never looked at her in the eye, let alone smiled at her. However, she had clearly seen Yichen smile at the woman just now, and he seemed to be very doting on her. All of this made her so jealous that she was going crazy. I don't know. Maybe tomorrow, or maybe they won't come out until they leave this place. Lu Tao said indifferently. How can I do that? Upon hearing this, Ji Min gritted her teeth in hatred. Why can't I? Leader Yi is my Miss Man, isn't it only natural for them to be together? Lu Tao said with a faint smile. Her impression of Ji Min was getting worse and worse. Ever since Commander Yi appeared, her good impression of Ji Min had disappeared. But we're in a competition. Ji Min couldn't help but remind him. It doesn't matter. The final battle hasn't come yet. The two of them haven't seen each other for so long, it's only right for them to have a good gathering. At this moment, Yu Shu said with a faint smile. Hearing this, Ji Min immediately pointed the spearhead at Yu Qin and questioned him with an unhappy expression. Who are you? Is there any place for you to interrupt? She was so angry that she couldn't maintain her usual elegant demeanor and directly exposed her true nature. Seeing her like this, Ji Wu and Ji Tao, who had never seen this side of her before, widened their eyes in shock. They looked at Ji Min in disbelief, as if their eldest miss had been replaced by someone else. On the other hand, Ji Yun was much calmer, and a trace of ridicule flashed through his clear eyes. Im's sister Ruox's brother. Since you're suspicious of their privacy, and she's not here, I naturally have to answer you on her behalf. When Yu Chen said this, he had a faint smile on his face, but his tone was very indifferent and distant. Looking at Ji Min, Yu Chen was a little disappointed with the eldest miss of the Ji family, who was rumored to be a god. Thinking back, someone in the Yu family had even suggested for Ji Min to be his young madam. Fortunately, it was rejected by the old ancestor. Now it seemed that the older the wiser. The old ancestor must have long seen that Ji Min was a person who did not mean what she said. Otherwise, he would not have rejected this matter. Looking at Ji Min, Yu Chen once again thanked the old ancestor for his wise decision. Although Ji Min was very beautiful, she gave off a very strong feeling. This type of woman was usually very stubborn and would not give up until she achieved her goal. So, when he saw her reaction to the man just now, Yu Chen started to worry about Leng Ruoxue. In his heart, he really treated Leng Ruoxue as his little sister. In addition, Leng Ruoxue did not act very domineering in front of them. Hence, Yu Chen subconsciously placed Leng Ruoxue in a position that needed protection. As for this woman who wanted to hurt Ruoxue and snatch Ruox's fiancée, she was naturally blacklisted by him. The way people interacted with each other was really strange. Some people might not become true friends even after knowing each other for a lifetime. However, some people only knew each other for a few minutes, and they could become life and death friends that they trusted the most. This was probably fate between people. Brother? That's not her real brother. What right do you have to represent her? Ji Min scoffed at Yi Chen's words and said disdainfully, Sister, Brother Yu is the young master of the Yu family. Suddenly, Ji Yun reminded her. Although he didn't like his sister very much, he couldn't just watch Ji Min offend Yu Chen. It wouldn't do the Ji family any good. So it's the Yu family's young master. Ji Min has been impolite. Upon hearing Ji Yun's words, Ji Min immediately reacted and resumed her usual magnanimous and appropriate way of dealing with things. She also apologized to Yu Shu. Yu Chen only smiled and did not say anything. At this moment, Ji Min's gaze turned to Ji Yun. She rushed in front of Ji Yun with unusual enthusiasm and tightly grabbed his wrist. She sized him up and down. After confirming that Ji Yun was safe and sound, she seemed to be relieved. Xiao Yun, it's great that you're fine. You don't know how worried I've been for you. Chapter 1888, Interrogation, 3. Thank you for your concern, sister. I'm very well. The corner of Ji Yun's mouth twitched as he indifferently replied. He was extremely cold to Ji Min's enthusiasm. Ji Tao and Ji Wu were already used to this, but Yu Qin felt that the way the siblings got along was a little unusual. Xiao Yun, are you still blaming me? It's all big sister's fault. If I had held you tightly when we entered this place, we wouldn't have been separated. You must have suffered a lot. Ji Min said with a pained expression, her beautiful face full of guilt. Sister, I don't blame you. Ji Yun rolled his eyes and said in a speechless manner, does this sister speak without thinking? If when they entered this place, the people of each clan could be transmitted together as long as they held each other tightly, then what was the point of entering here? It would be better to compete directly outside. Little Yun. When she heard this, Ji Min thought that Ji Yun was angry. Therefore, she looked at him with an aggrieved expression. Sister, I'm tired. I'll go back and rest first. Ji Yun was speechless at Ji Min's reaction, but he didn't want to act like a brother and sister in front of outsiders, so he went straight into his tent. Xiao Yun. Ji Yun had already left. Ji Min watched his back as he left, but she still called out softly. Her beautiful eyes were filled with tears, but she forced them back. Little Yun is blaming me. Ji Min muttered to herself. Seeing her like this, Ji Wu and Ji Tao didn't know what to say, because this kind of situation was common in the Ji family. Outsiders all knew that Ji Min doted on Ji Yun to the bone, but what they didn't know was that Ji Min always stuck her warm face to Ji Yun's cold ass because Ji Yun didn't appreciate her love at all. Turning around and leaving like this was still fine, but Ji Yun was capable of doing things that made Ji Min even more embarrassed. Although they didn't know why Ji Yun would treat Ji Min like this, according to their ancestor, this was the unique way the siblings got along. As long as they didn't feel that there was anything wrong with it, it was enough. No one had the right to question it. Ever since the patriarch had said these words, the clansmen who felt that Ji Min had been treated unfairly had greatly decreased. After all, everyone was well aware that the patriarch was clearly biased towards Ji Yun. Don't you think Xiao Yun is blaming me? Seeing that no one responded to her words, Ji Min could only ask again. The young master won't blame you. You're his sister after all. Ji Tao had no choice but to comfort her. Although he admired Ji Min, in his heart, Ji Yun was still more important. No matter how useless Ji Yun appeared to be, his position as young master Ji Yun was still unbreakable. Everyone in the Ji family knew this. That's good. When you have time, please explain it to me. I don't want Xiao Yun to misunderstand me. Ji Min said with a hint of resentment. Yes. Ji Wu and Ji Tao nodded their heads readily. As for whether or not they would tell him and when, that was their own business. After that, the few people who didn't feel very familiar with each other felt that they had nothing to say and each found an excuse to go back to work. Seeing Lu Tao and Suizhu setting up the tent, Yu Qin, who had nothing to do, took the initiative to help. Young master of the Yu family, there's no need to trouble you. Well, be done immediately. Seeing that Yu Qin was about to make a move, Lu Tao hurriedly stopped him. They had also heard about Yu Qin's identity from Ji Yun. You don't have to be so polite with me. I'm the big brother that little sister Ruoxue acknowledged. Yu Qin said enthusiastically. Lu Tao did not know what to do with Yu Qin, who was so familiar with her. They were used to doing everything by themselves. Therefore, they were not used to an outsider coming to help. What's more, the person who came claimed to be her young miss brother. Would her young miss be so bored as to casually acknowledge a brother? Green Peach was very suspicious of this. However, she was too lazy to expose him. After all, what were these young masters? They had to give him some face, right? In reality, Lu Tao's guess was right. It was not Leng Ruoxue who had taken the initiative to acknowledge Yu Chen as her brother, but Yu Shu had called him that out of familiarity. After a long time, Leng Ruoxue had tacitly agreed. Yu Chen was not an annoying fellow anyway, and he was very tactful. In that case, it was no loss for her to have an older brother who had taken the initiative to come to her door. By the way, how did you find us? Is it a coincidence, or? Then, while helping Lu Tao and Suizhu set up their tents, Yu Shu asked curiously. Of course, I know where you are. Otherwise, how would we be able to find it? However, we've been searching for you for days. Hearing Yu Chen's question, Suizhu replied without much scheming. Seeing Qui's straightforward answer, Lu Tao could not help but glare at her. However, Lu Tao also felt that Yu Chen's question was not a secret, so she simply explained it. We met 2 people on the way and they told us. However, they only told us your approximate location. So, in order to find you, we have been searching for a long time. Lu Tao's words were similar to Zuizhu's. After Yu Chen heard it, he suspected that they had met the same person, Lu Sin, whom Leng Ruoxue had mentioned that Zhou Kuan had offended. And this Lu Sin told everyone his whereabouts. What was he trying to do? Could it be that Lu Sin thought that Leng Ruoxue and the rest would remain in their original positions? Wasn't Lu Sin's IQ too low? Actually, someone told me that I would meet little sister Ruoxue and the others. Furthermore, according to my guess, the person who told us about little sister Ruoxue and the others' whereabouts should be the same person. Following that, Yu Chen also truthfully said, "Arg, what was going on? What does he want to do?" Yu Chen's words caused Lu Tao and Zuizhu to turn pale with fright. However, at the same time, they were also quite glad. After all, they had already found their miss. With them around, let's see who dares to bully their young miss. For revenge, Yu Chen said softly. Then he told the 2 maidservants what he had heard from Leng Ruoxue and the others. Lu Tao and Zuizhu were dumbfounded and gasped in admiration. After a long time, Lu Tao and Zuizhu kept sighing, and their beautiful faces were filled with depression. Don't worry, little sister Ruoxue and the others will be fine. When he saw that the 2 maidservants had become listless after hearing his words, he thought that they were worried about Leng Ruoxue. Hence, he consoled them immediately. We're not worried, we're just regretful. Zuizhu could not help but ask. This time, it was Yu Shu's turn to be stunned. Then he asked in a silly manner, "What are you regretting? It's a pity that we weren't there. We didn't even get to participate in such a fun event. So, I'll regret it for the rest of my life." Zuizhu said somewhat exaggeratedly, her beautiful eyes still faintly rippling with tears. Chapter 1889, Interrogation 4. Yu Shu started to sweat. He deeply felt that he was old and there was a big generation gap between him and these little girls. Otherwise, why couldn't he understand what this little girl was thinking? If Zuizhu had said that she was worried about Leng Ruoxue, or that she was afraid that Leng Ruoxue would be injured, he would have thought that it was normal. However, she had treated it as a game and even regretted that she could not participate. Was this how a normal person thought? What's there to regret? Maybe that guy will come to our miss for revenge. At that time, we'll take care of him. Unlike Zuizhu, although she was also depressed at the beginning, she thought further. She even thought that the other party might come to take revenge on her young lady, so she decided to make early preparations. Soon after, Lu Tao took out all of her bottles from her storage ring and said with a wicked smile, "If that guy really dares to come, I'll let him have a good taste of the power of these medicines." Seeing this, Yu Chen was extremely surprised. What are these medicines? In view of the Green Peach's high praise for his medicine, Yu Chen was very curious. Poison. Green Peach's pink lips parted slightly as she spat out 2 words. Yu Shu's forehead was full of black lines. She thought to herself, a woman's heart is indeed the most vicious. Lu Sin hadn't arrived yet, but the other party had already prepared the poison. However, with so many bottles of poison, would Lu Sin be able to handle it? Most of them are poison, but some aren't. Green Peach explained kindly when she saw that Yu Han seemed to be frightened. This is itching powder, she continued. This bottle was stinky powder. This place is filled with things that can make the whole body rot. She introduced them to Yu Chen one by one with a bad heart. After Yu Chen heard this, more black lines appeared on his forehead, and he broke out in cold sweat. He thought in his heart, ruthless. How ruthless! Compared to those so-called poisons, these medicines were probably even better. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but shiver. So, women these days were really too scary, especially the more harmless they looked. When they were fierce, they were often unexpected. However, thinking of the effects of the powder that Lu Tao had introduced to him, Yu Chen's heart began to itch like a cat's scratch. Although the powder sounded scary, it was good to save lives in critical moments. Thinking of this, he thickened his skin and began to please her. Can you give me some of these herbs? I want to keep it for self-defense. Yuchen said, a little embarrassed. No. I only have these. If you really want them, go to my family's young miss. Seeing Yuchen staring at her medicine, Green Peach hurriedly put away the medicine and looked at him with a vigilant look. However, she still kindly provided Yuchen with the source of these medicines. Little sister Ruoxue, do you have a lot? Yuchen asked in surprise. Yes. Lu Tao nodded and thought, of course her young miss has a lot, because that medicine was refined by her young miss. Then I'll go and get it from sister Ruoxue. Yuchen said hurriedly. He was about to look for Lung Ruoxue, but he was stopped by Lu Tao. Wait, you can't go now. Otherwise, guild leader Yi will hate you. Lu Tao could not help but remind him. But Yuchen was puzzled. He didn't do anything to Lung Ruoxue, so why would that fellow hate him? Stupid! Don't be a third wheel now, otherwise, leader Yi will go crazy. Cuizhu could not help but say. After saying this, she deeply felt that she was really too kind. Alright then. Thanks for the reminder, I'm going back to rest. You guys should rest early too. After Yuchen finished speaking, he turned around and left. Seeing this, Lu Tao and Cuizhu also entered the tent that had just been set up. For a moment, only Ji Min, Ji Wu, and Ji Tao were left in the large area. Ji Wu and Ji Tao wanted to find an excuse to return to the tent, but Ji Min refused to let them leave. She insisted on chatting with them. Although she said it was a chat, she was only asking them about Lung Ruoxue's situation. In reality, they had not spent a lot of time with Lung Ruoxue, so their understanding of her was naturally not deep enough. Hence, after their conversation, they could not provide much useful information to Ji Min. In fact, Ji Min was not even clear about Lung Ruoxue's strength. This fact made Ji Min extremely depressed and dejected. In the end, she didn't even know when Ji Wu and Ji Tao had left. She sat by the fire alone until dawn. On the other side, after the demon pulled Lung Ruoxue into the tent, he had Lung Ruoxue bring him back to the bangle. In the purple bamboo house, the two of them shared their lovesickness with each other. Following that, Lung Ruoxue began to interrogate the woman about her identity. Demon, tell me the truth. Who is that woman? Lung Ruoxue pretended to be angry and put on a straight face, pretending to be displeased. This fellow was really too good at attracting peach blossoms. However, this peach blossom seemed to be smarter and was different from the brainless women in the past. This kind of woman was relatively difficult to deal with. She's just a passerby. Let's not talk about her anymore. Let's change the topic. The demon suggested. No. Explain her problem first, or else you're not allowed to change the topic. It was rare for Lung Ruoxue to be so willful, and she did not leave any room for discussion. But she really has nothing to talk about. In comparison, I'm more interested in knowing who the guy who said that hell be there wherever you are is. The evildoer also started to calculate. That guy's name is Ji Yun. We met here. Lung Ruoxue replied simply. How could she have forgotten that the evildoer was even more jealous than her? Wu, I miscalculated. And then? The demon squinted his eyes and asked indifferently. Lung Ruoxue could hear a trace of displeasure in his tone. There's nothing else. Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but shrink her neck. She regretted starting this topic. Great, she had brought it upon herself. You really don't have any more? The evildoer was obviously not satisfied with Lung Ruoxue's answer. He gently bit her snow-white arm, leaving 2 rows of teeth marks on her smooth and tender skin before he let go in satisfaction. It hurts. Lung Ruoxue looked at him pitifully, the tears in her beautiful eyes threatening to fall. Then she purposely said, You're such a bully. You didn't explain clearly about that strange woman and even bit me. I said she's just a passerby. There's nothing to explain. The demon started to tease Lung Ruoxue. To be honest, he quite liked it when Schwer was jealous over such a small matter. At least, this showed that Schwer cared about him. Even so, you still have to explain clearly how you got to know her. How dare you bring a strange woman with you? I think you're really— Lung Ruox's face was flushed red as she gritted her teeth. She didn't finish her sentence, but she knew that the evildoer knew what she wanted to say. At this moment, she was playing the role of a willful, unruly, and jealous girlfriend very well, and her performance also pleased the demon. The demon hugged Lung Ruoxue tightly and kissed her pouted pink lips without any hesitation. His chest was shaking from his smile. He was obviously very happy. Don't laugh. Lung Ruoxue cupped her devilishly beautiful face and warned him seriously. Good. No smile. I want laugh. The demon coaxed, but then he laughed even louder. Shui Er's current appearance was really too cute. He really couldn't get enough of looking at her. However, he was afraid that he would go too far in playing with fire, so he patiently explained Ji Min's existence to Lung Ruoxue. He did not want Shui Er to really take him seriously, and that would be bad. Chapter 1890, You're Too Unsympathetic, 1. Shui Er, I didn't keep that woman by my side. When I met her, she was already with Lu Tao and the others. Moreover, at that time, they were being besieged, and your maidservant was being bullied. So, I saved her in passing. The demon explained simply. Not only that, that woman even claimed that she was a friend of your two maidservants. Since she is their friend and has nothing to do with me, it wouldn't be good for me to drive her away, right? Actually, he really wanted to drive her away, but that woman acted normal in front of him and wasn't very enthusiastic about him, so he couldn't be too narcissistic, could he? However, after seeing Shui, it seemed that the woman couldn't hold back anymore. That woman clearly has feelings for you. Lung Ruoxue reminded, her beautiful face filled with displeasure. So what? In my eyes, she's just a passerby. Besides, if I say that she has never pestered me or expressed her love for me, would you believe me? The demon raised his eyebrows and asked. I do. That woman looks smart and not easy to deal with. Lung Ruoxue nodded her head. This was how a smart woman should behave. Those who drooled at the sight of a man were infatuated. When a smart woman pursued the man she liked, she would usually be calm and unmoved. No matter how smart she is, can she compare to my Shui? The demon smiled and tried to please him. There's no point in trying to please me. No matter what, this woman was brought back by you. Lung Ruoxue pretended to be displeased and pouted her pink lips. Seeing this, the demon's heart heated up and he could not help but kiss her again. Lung Ruoxue was breathless from the demon's kiss. After a long time, she finally found a chance to breathe. She looked at the demon with slight displeasure and said, Don't even think about getting away with it. This guy was really getting worse. Shui, I didn't provoke that woman. It was Lu Tao and Sueju who provoked her. So, don't blame it on me. It's very unfair to me. His devilish black eyes stared unblinkingly at Lung Ruoxue. His eyes were filled with grievances. You're the one who attracted the peach blossoms, and you're blaming others? Lung Ruoxue was a little speechless. Even though she knew that the evildoer was somewhat innocent in this matter, if it wasn't for his devastatingly beautiful appearance, why would those peach blossoms who had been mesmerized by his beauty come to her door one after another? Wasn't it enough to have a brain-dead girl who was infatuated with him? Now that a smart and scheming woman had come to her door, she didn't have to do anything in the long run. She just had to help the demon drive away these rotten peach flowers. You're pretty good at attracting peach blossoms. Hearing Lung Ruoxue's words, the evildoer could not help but whisper. As long as he was not by Shui Er's side, she would be entangled by some man. So, it seemed like he would have to stay by Shui Er's side and protect her from now on, he decided in his heart. What did you just say? Lung Ruoxue squinted her beautiful eyes as she spoke in an unfriendly tone. Damn evildoer, they were talking about his matters now, but he actually dragged her into it. Was this considered as him trying to drag her down with him? It's nothing. It was nothing. Shui, it's getting late, can we rest? The evildoer said hurriedly. Right now, he didn't dare to mention anything about Ji Yun. Otherwise, Shui would definitely get angry with him. However, it didn't matter. There were still many days ahead. He would deal with that kid when he had the chance. I haven't had a good night's sleep in these days. The demon added. After he finished speaking, he hugged Shui and lay down on the bed. After Leng Ruoxue fell asleep, the demon summoned Green Vessel. What's the matter? Qing Ju looked at the demon warily. Every time this guy came to find him alone, it was definitely not something good. However, he could not reject him. So, he was the most pitiful weapon spirit in the world. What do you think? Didn't I tell you to help me look after Shui? Is this how you look at her? The demon squinted his dazzling starry eyes and said with slight displeasure. Those few guys are insignificant. They can't pose any threat to you. When Qing Ju heard this, he quickly explained. He knew that the evil man was planning to settle the score after this. This guy did not dare to ask his sister, but he did not have any concerns about him. He knew that if he dared to hide any information about any man, this evil man would not let him off. As long as he thought of the other party's terrifying torture methods, he could not help but shiver. Following that, Qing Ju explained the 8 generations of ancestors of the men in detail. Of course, he also mentioned Ji Yun. After all, among the men, this fellow was the only one who had impure thoughts towards his sister. Moreover, he was a black-hearted fellow who liked to pretend to be a pig to eat a tiger. If it were not for the fact that he did not dare to say some things, he would definitely tell this demon that Ji Yun and he were very similar in some ways. As for Zhou Kun, who had always wanted to challenge the demon, he only mentioned him briefly. Who asked that guy to not enter their eyes? Only these? The demon said in dissatisfaction after hearing this. Yes. Qing Ju quickly nodded and thought to himself, are these not enough? He had even told her about Zhou Kun's pregnancy. Since you're done, you may leave. Seeing that Qing Ju had nothing else to explain, the demon directly ordered him to leave. Qing Ju's face turned red in anger. Damn it, this was killing the donkey when the grinding was done. Ah. It was wrong. How could he call himself a donkey? Anyway, this guy kicked him away after using him. He was so pitiful. Qing Ju reproached himself for a while, but he still had to leave with tears in his eyes. After Qing Ju left, the demon lay on the bed and recalled Qing Ju's words. Other than Ji Yun, there was actually someone else who wanted to challenge him. This person most likely knew that he had been a little bored recently, so he had deliberately sent himself to his door. In that case, if he didn't make good use of it, wouldn't he be wasting the other party's good intentions? After making up his mind, he decided to start with Zhou Kun first. After all, Zhou Kun was the least important person among the few of them. As for Ji Yun, he would slowly drive him out of Shui Er's sight. At this time, Zhou Kun still didn't know that he had been targeted. It wasn't until the next day when Zhou Kun left the tent that he discovered that there seemed to be a few strangers in the camp. He recognized one of the strangers. Ji Min, what are you doing here? After Zhou Kun saw Ji Min, he asked her in a bad mood. Who was the last person he wanted to see in such a situation? Naturally, it was Ji Min. After all, whether it was the grievances between the Ji and Zhou families or his previous feelings for Ji Min, it was enough to make him a big joke in Ji Min's eyes. Being seen by Ji Min in his current state was definitely a humiliation to him. You can be here, why can't I? Ji Min sneered after seeing Zhou Kun. Zhou Kun was at a loss for words. Yeah. Why can't Ji Min be here? How could he say this? Could he say that he regarded Ji Min as an enemy and naturally didn't want the enemy to see him now? However, it wasn't like the other members of the Ji family didn't know about his current situation. Zhou Kun was in a dilemma. Chapter 1891. You are too unsympathetic. 2. Do I need a reason if I can't? I hate you, do you understand? Seeing that Zhou Kun was being bullied, Meng Bao couldn't hold it in any longer. Zhou Kun, on the other hand, was touched to see that someone was speaking up for him. Do I have a grudge against you? Ji Min glanced at the strong woman who had spoken and asked indifferently. No grudges. Meng Bao answered readily. Then what right do you have to hate me? Ji Min said, somewhat unconvinced. First, she didn't kill this woman's entire family, and second, she didn't steal this woman's man. What right did this woman have to hate her? That's weird. Do you need a reason to hate someone? I just don't like the look of you, so what? Bite me. Meng Bao said shamelessly, but he couldn't help but snort in his heart. She hated all the women who dared to bully her little Kuan Kuan. You really are an uncultured savage woman. I'm too lazy to talk nonsense with you. Ji Min was so angry that her words trembled, and her beautiful face turned red with anger. I don't want to talk nonsense with you. You seem to be quite well-mannered, but you're too annoying. Meng Bao said with a look of disdain. However, he was thinking that Leng Ruoxue was more likable compared to this woman. She just didn't know if Leng Ruoxue would be moved to tears after knowing her thoughts. However, at this moment, Leng Ruoxue was preparing to come out of the tent. After hearing her words, she was already laughing in her heart. It seemed that the daughters of those families had to be dealt with by women like Meng Bao, who seemed crude but was actually meticulous. After all, Meng Bao did not look like a shrewd and meticulous woman. Therefore, no one would pick on her even if her words were rough. At the thought of this, Leng Ruoxue pulled the evildoer aside the tent's curtain and walked out. As soon as they stepped out of the tent, they heard a cry of joy, "Brother Yi, you're out." Without a doubt, Ji Min was the one who was pleasantly surprised. As for Leng Ruoxue, she had automatically ignored her. When Leng Ruoxue heard this voice, she lifted her beautiful eyes and looked at the evildoer teasingly. Then, the two of them walked towards them, hand in hand. "Brother Yi." Just as Ji Min was about to step forward, she seemed to have accidentally seen Leng Ruoxue, who was beside the evildoer. She stopped in her tracks awkwardly. At this time, Meng Bao's loud voice rang out again. "Leng, who is this pretty boy? Your new love? Why hadn't he seen her before? However, this guy looks much stronger than that Ji-yun, but he's not my cup of tea." Meng Bao sized up the demon and asked nonchalantly like a machine gun. Leng Ruoxue's forehead was filled with black lines after hearing her series of questions, while the demon's face was completely black. As for Ji-yun, his face was alternating between green and white. "He's my fiancé, Yechen." Leng Ruoxue sighed softly and said helplessly. Her hand remained calm as she appeased the evildoer. She knew Meng Bao's temper very well. He would say whatever he wanted and would never think about whether others would get angry after hearing what she said. In that guy's heart, there was no such thing as an unintentional speaker but a meaningful listener. Otherwise, Meng Bao would not have called her the one with the surname Leng all the time. She couldn't do anything to Meng Bao, but she didn't have to worry about being schemed against when interacting with a straightforward person like him. This was also the main reason why she had always accommodated him. "I've long heard of your great name." Hearing this, Meng Bao cupped his hands in a manly manner and sized up the demon again with surprise. In her eyes, this guy was too weak. Could such a weak man give a woman happiness? She was very suspicious. At the thought of this, Meng Bao could not help but pull Leng Ruoxue to the side and asked in a low voice, "Leng, this man's body looks so thin and weak. Can he satisfy you?" She had no intention of probing into Leng Ruoxue's privacy. She was purely curious. After all, from her perspective, how could Leng Ruoxue have a blissful sex life when she was with such a man? When Leng Ruoxue heard these words, her cheeks started to heat up and her forehead was covered in cold sweat. She could not help but pray in her heart that these words could not be heard by the evildoer. Otherwise, that fellow would definitely kill her. After all, this was related to a man's dignity. Looking at Leng Ruoxue's troubled expression, Meng Bao completely misunderstood her. Following that, she said with a look of sympathy, "AI. As a woman, I can understand the pain in your heart. Why don't you change to another man? There are plenty of good men in the world. This time, you should find a strong man. As for this kind of embroidered pillow with an empty appearance, you must not think about it again. After all, a woman's sexual happiness is the most important." Meng Bao's words were very sincere and earnest. The reason why she told Leng Ruoxue these things was mainly because Leng Ruoxue had kept her promise and did not snatch Zhou Kuan from her. Otherwise, she would not have spoken so much. However, if Leng Ruoxue knew that this was the reason why Meng Bao was concerned about her sexual happiness, she would probably vomit blood from depression. What Meng Bao thought he had said carefully was heard by the demon. He narrowed his eyes and thought to himself, "Can't I satisfy Shui? How would you know if you don't try?" At this moment, he had crossed out this intrepid and strong-looking girl and put her on his blacklist. He had to make Shui stay away from this girl in the future. Otherwise, his innocent and cute Shui would be led astray. Seeing the woman holding Shui's arm and chattering non-stop, the evildoer immediately released a chill. Instantly, the temperature dropped a lot. As for Ji Min, who had been staying beside the evildoer and trying to attract his attention, she was completely ignored. Not far away. Upon seeing this, Yu Chen whispered to Ji Yun, "Quickly pull your sister back. Don't let her do such a thankless thing. That man is not to be trifled with, and he's not someone she can dream of." As the saying goes, the onlooker sees more clearly. He could clearly see that the devilish man was getting impatient. If he were to lose his temper, he would naturally not vent it on his beloved woman. So who would be the first to bear the brunt? It was naturally self-evident. "You think I can control her? Ever since we were young, we've always wanted anything that caught her eye." Ji Yun spoke the truth. He had long seen through his sister's thoughts, but he had no intention of interfering. More importantly, he couldn't interfere in this matter. Moreover, Ji Min was different from him. If Ji Min had her eyes on something, she would definitely get it. As for him, as long as he could see Leng Ruoxue often and cook for her, he was already very satisfied. AI. She will regret it if she offends this man. Yu Chen sighed helplessly. He couldn't understand why some people in this world liked to covet other people's things so much. Or was it really that good to snatch it? Whether she regrets it or not is her own choice. She can't blame anyone else. Ji Yun said coldly. Chapter 1892, You're Too Unsympathetic, 3, You Really Think So? Yu Chen's eyes widened as he asked in disbelief. He didn't expect that the carefree-looking Ji Yun could actually be so cold-blooded. If he remembered correctly, Ji Min should be his biological sister, right? What else can I do? Even if something happens to her, I won't take revenge for her. There are some people she can't afford to offend, but she still insists on flying like a moth to the flame. If there are any consequences, she can only bear it herself. Our family will not stand up for her. Ji Yun laughed coldly. It was time for this arrogant and haughty sister of hers to be taught a lesson. She didn't want her to always think that she was the most outstanding woman in the world. Little did she know that her thoughts were nothing more than a big joke in Ji Yun's heart. Big brother Yu, as the young master of the Yu family, you can't really be so soft-hearted, right? Or do you have any thoughts about me? If that's the case, then I'll make the decision to betroth her to you. Ji Yun said half jokingly, half seriously. In fact, the more he thought about it, the more he felt that his idea was good. He didn't want his sister to cause trouble for the Ji family. "I'm not interested in your sister." When Yu Chen heard this, he hurriedly replied and was so frightened that he quickly wiped the cold sweat on his forehead. He wasn't interested in Ji Min at all. If he had known about Ji Min before because of her reputation, then after seeing her in person, the little bit of curiosity he had about her disappeared. This woman was no different from any other woman. She was just as infatuated with him. In fact, she even had a bad habit of being self-righteous. It should be known that as a member of the family, this bad habit was the most unacceptable. Otherwise, it would bring a fatal disaster upon herself. And now, in his eyes, Ji Min was the typical representative of someone who had caused trouble but was still unaware of it. Not only that, but he also felt that the Ji family's education of Ji Min over the years was a complete failure because Ji Min simply didn't understand that she shouldn't have dreamed of something she was delusional about. It was no easy feat to dig her own grave. In his eyes, Ji Min was not even as cute as Meng Bao. At least, that woman was very real. She knew what he wanted and what was suitable for him. She was obviously Zhou Kun's nemesis. At the thought of these two people, he could not help but think of how good Meng Bao was to Zhou Kun. He could not help but chuckle softly. Seeing Yu Chen suddenly start to giggle, Ji Yun Shu looked at him in confusion. "Brother Yu, what's wrong with you?" Brother Yu was really abnormal like this, he was so scared. "Ha! I was just thinking about the time when Meng Bao and Zhou Kun were together. They were very loving. Yu Shu said with a smirk. The little resentment he had for Zhou Kun had long disappeared with the arrival of Meng Bao, because he knew very well that it would be a disaster for Zhou Kun to be tied to Meng Bao for the rest of his life. Unfortunately, Zhou Kun could not refuse at all. Unfortunately, Meng Bao is going to build a harem. Ji Yun said, gloating over Zhou Kun's misfortune. He could also tell that Meng Bao seemed to be Zhou Kun's nemesis. He, who knew what Meng Bao was thinking, actually sympathized with Zhou Kun a little. This was because what Meng Bao was about to do now happened to be what Zhou Kun had done in the past. He wondered if this was considered retribution. It seemed that people really shouldn't do bad things. Well, she seems to like men like Zhou Kun. Do you think we should recommend a few to her? Yuchen suddenly winked and said, that's a good idea. I think the one named Lu Sen is quite suitable for her. Besides, Lu Sen is much taller and stronger than Zhou Kun. Ji Yun suggested. Yu Chen, who had seen Lu Sen before, also nodded his head repeatedly. That guy was indeed Meng Bao's type. Just like that, the two of them started to conspire with tacit understanding. Lu Sen, who was far away, did not expect that he would be set up again. However, he kept sneezing. However, this was also his retribution. Who asked him to scheme against Ji Yun and the others first? People. He had to have the awareness of reaping what he sowed, otherwise he would only bring fire upon himself. Moreover, compared to him wanting Ji Yun and the others to die, it seemed that Ji Yun's idea was kind. Although Meng Bao's appearance was a little apologetic to the audience, he was a very meticulous and considerate woman. Ji Yun could tell from how she usually treated Zhou Kun. Therefore, she felt that her thoughts were very kind. On this side, Ji Yun and Yu Chen were discussing how to scheme against Lu Senator. On the other side, Meng Bao was pulling Lung Ruoxue and talking nonstop. Suddenly, he cried out. Suddenly, a sound rang out. The few of them raised their heads in unison and looked in the direction of the sound. They happened to see Ji Min's pale face, her legs going soft, and falling in the direction of the evildoer. The people present were all smart monkeys, so it was naturally not difficult to see Ji Min's purpose. However, no one had expected that Ji Min would actually come up with such a clumsy method. However, no one could see that the demonic man would know how to show tenderness to women. Even Ji Tao and Ji Wu looked at Ji Min with disapproval. They didn't think that the demonic man would be so easy to scheme against. Fuck. This vixen, I've long seen that she's not a good person, to actually think of your family's weak man. Lung, you can't let her go or it'll look down on you. After witnessing this scene, Meng Bao immediately swore. His eyes were wide open, as if Ji Min was trying to take advantage of her man. In fact, she was feeling indignant for Lung Ruoxue. Don't worry. She'll suffer the consequences of her own actions. Lung Ruoxue laughed lightly as she understood. If a demon could be so easily schemed against, he would not be the man she liked. Are you sure? In fact, I don't think men are good at dealing with this kind of thing. So, Meng Bao said like an emperor who was not in a hurry. However, before she could finish her sentence, the demonic man's figure flashed like the wind. Then Ji Min, who was falling toward him, fell directly to the ground in an extremely indecent posture. She was the eldest young lady of the Ji family. She was famous for her nobility and elegance. But now, she had fallen to the ground like a dog eating shit. Her skirt was lifted up to her waist, revealing her long, white legs and her beautiful butt. Arg! It hurts. With a cry of pain, Ji Min raised her head slightly. At this time, everyone could clearly see that Ji Min had fallen more miserably than they had imagined. At this time, Ji Min's beautiful clothes that touched the ground had been torn, revealing half of her snow-white jade peaks. Her high nose bridge was also broken by the impact because she directly touched the ground. Her originally beautiful diamond-shaped pink lips were swollen like two sausages and covered with mud. The skin on her face was also damaged in many places. Blood flowed directly from the wound and quickly soaked her entire face. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that Ji Min was a ghost now. After Ji Min fell down, she endured the pain on her face and elbow and got up from the ground. But at this moment, she couldn't help but feel hatred in her heart. Damn it, no one came to help her when she fell. This was preposterous. At this time, she knew how to blame others for not coming to help her. However, why didn't she think about it? When she fell, she didn't expect anyone to help her at all. Her goal was completely on the evildoer. Unfortunately, he didn't care about her life or death. This was a fact that she did not want to touch. At the thought of this, Ji Min's resentful eyes unconsciously drifted to the evildoer and she said with an aggrieved face, "Brother Yi," who knew that just as she opened her mouth to speak, her teeth fell to the ground with a clatter. Instantly, everyone was once again stunned. Ji Min was also completely dumbfounded. What was going on? She had never heard of someone who fell and knocked out all his teeth. How was Ji Min going to face others in the future? One had to know that things like teeth could not grow back just by eating healing medicinal pills. And if a woman, especially a beautiful woman with a well-known reputation, did not have teeth, how terrifying would that be? After Ji Min's teeth were knocked out, her lips, apart from the two sausages, were immediately deflated. She suddenly became a lot uglier. Seeing this, Ji Tao and Ji Wu both lowered their heads in unison, not daring to look at Ji Min at all. It was not difficult for them to imagine how angry Ji Min was at this moment. However, they had overestimated Ji Min's ability to endure. At this moment, she had completely fallen into a dazed state, so how could she still care about losing her temper? Seeing Ji Min's miserable state, Meng Bao laughed heartlessly. Her gloating laughter immediately attracted everyone's attention. Receiving everyone's attention, Meng Bao was embarrassed, which was rare. Why are you all looking at me? Meng Bao whispered in embarrassment. At this time, shouldn't they be looking at the miserable state of the vixen who tried to seduce other people's men? Why was he looking at her instead? This made her a little at a loss. You're too unsympathetic, Yu Shu said with a faint smile. In fact, he also wanted to laugh unscrupulously like Meng Bao, but unfortunately his status did not allow him to be so casual. Chapter 1893, Two-Pronged Approach, 1. Sympathy? Why should I have sympathy? Even if I'm full of sympathy, I can't just give it to a vixen who wants to seduce someone else's man. It's already good enough that I didn't hit her when she's down, and she still wants me to pity her? In my opinion, she asked for it. She deserved it. Meng Bao was slightly stunned. Then he snorted disdainfully. Her words were not polite at all. When they heard this, Ji Yun and the other two felt their faces burning. They did not dare to defend Ji Min, while Yu Chen's smile became even more profound. At this time, Ji Min also came back to her senses and heard Meng Bao's words. Suddenly, Ji Min disregarded her image and roared in anger, "What an ugly monster! What did it say? I dare you to say that again. I'm sorry, I don't have the guts." Meng Bao said in an infuriating manner. Only men have balls. How could she? Ji Min was so angry that her whole body was trembling. In addition, she had almost lost all her teeth, so she couldn't speak clearly. However, her current image was completely different from her reputation. Moreover, the people present believed that after this incident, Ji Min's reputation would not be as good as before. As for how bad it would be, they did not dare to guess, but it would definitely not be good. "Sister, you're already in this state, so it's better for you to speak less." Ji Yun couldn't bear to watch any longer and couldn't help but ask, Is he still my little brother? I'm being bullied and you're just standing by." After hearing Ji Yun's words, Ji Min, who had nowhere to vent her anger, immediately directed the spearhead at Ji Yun. In any case, she was certain that her younger brother would not disrespect her in front of others. "You were bullied?" Ji Yun narrowed his eyes, his face filled with confusion as he repeated himself. Then he said, "Who bullied you?" Ji Min was so angry that she almost vomited blood at Ji Yun's act of playing dumb. Damn it, Ji Yun clearly didn't want to interfere in her business. This won't do. She was Ji Yun's older sister and the eldest daughter of the Ji family. Therefore, she had to get back at him today. She didn't want to touch Leng Ruoxue for the time being so as not to leave a bad impression on Yi Chen. She couldn't afford to offend Yu-chin either. Therefore, after thinking about it, Ji-min felt that Zhou Kun and that ugly woman should be her punching bags and allow her to vent her anger. Otherwise, where would she put her face as the eldest daughter of the Ji family? At the thought of this, Ji-min stretched out her hand and pointed at Zhou Kun and Meng Bao, making them her targets. By them, Ji-min said with a slightly aggrieved tone, her beautiful eyes still misty. Ah. Zhou Kun, who had been targeted even without doing anything, was immediately depressed. Damn it. He didn't even say anything, okay? How could he be wrongly accused? Under the watchful eyes of the public, how could this damned woman have the nerve to accuse her? Zhou Kun couldn't figure it out. Was that person really the noble eldest daughter of the Ji family? Now, no matter how he looked at Ji-min, she was not pleasing to the eye. I didn't say anything, okay? Zhou Kun reminded him with a slightly aggrieved expression. This was the first time he had watched a show so obediently in his life. However, he was still shot in the head even though he did that. Was there still justice in this world? At this moment, Zhou Kun finally experienced the feeling of being wronged. Although she didn't say anything, her expression can't be hidden from me. Ji-min roared in anger. What was her image? She had completely forgotten about it in her extreme anger. This works too? Miss Ji, I realize that I've only truly gotten to know you today. Thank you for opening my eyes. Zhou Kun cupped his fists and said with a look of admiration on his face. How could he not admire her? Ji-min's ability to lie through her teeth had already reached the peak. What do you mean by that? Upon hearing Zhou Kun's words, Ji-min became even more furious. However, Zhou Kun laughed without saying a word. What else could it mean? I'm saying that you're a hypocrite. Meng Bao interjected. In fact, it was not a big deal for the heiresses of those families to be inconsistent. Inside, Ji-min was so angry that her eyes were bloodshot and her face was ferocious. Coupled with her shriveled sausage mouth, her current appearance was really as terrifying as it could get. Arg, the ghost. It's really too ugly. Upon seeing this, Meng Bao cried out exaggeratedly and hid behind Lung Ruoxue to seek protection. Seeing this, Lung Ruoxue smiled helplessly and said to Ji-min, Miss Ji, if you want to continue throwing a tantrum, no one will stop you. However, I think you'd better take care of your injuries first. You look quite scary now. Besides, everything we do here can be seen by the people outside. I'm afraid that many people will be surprised by your current appearance. So, you have to take care of yourself. After hearing Lung Ruoxue's words, Ji-min instantly calmed down. Then she took out a healing pill and ate it. In an instant, the injuries on her face and arms were healed, but her teeth could not grow back. That was why her lips were sunken. When she thought of this fact, the flame burning in Ji-min's chest grew stronger and stronger, until it became a sea of fire. However, she had already calmed down and knew that her performance just now could very likely destroy her many years of business in one day. Therefore, she did not dare to act rashly. However, what should she do with her teeth? Without teeth, not only would there be gaps in her speech, but it was also unsightly. Therefore, Ji-min's hair was almost white. In fact, if she was still a high-level deity, she would not be afraid of any injuries to her body. This was because when a high-level deity advanced to become a deity, she would have a chance to repair her bodhi's defects. However, she had already passed through that stage. Therefore, she naturally did not have that opportunity. Her teeth were also part of the body that could not be regrown. Therefore, if there was no good way to repair her teeth, then her life would really be ruined. One might ask, which family would want a head lady who had lost all her teeth? How did this happen? Ji-min couldn't understand. She had clearly calculated it well, but there was a deviation. It was fine that Yi-chin did not catch her tenderly, but how did she fall to the ground? And it fell so badly? How was she going to face others in the future? Now, everyone in the immortal realm probably knows about this matter. So, Ji-min only needed to think about it to feel terrified. Moreover, she had lost her composure just now. Now, the perfect image that she had maintained for so many years was gone forever. She was filled with regret. She had always been calm, but when she saw Yi Chen and Lung Ruoxue standing together, she could not control the jealousy in her heart. Otherwise, with her cautious nature, she would not have done something so abnormal. She had blamed her behavior for being abnormal. This was definitely not her intention, Jimin thought. At the same time, she had also viewed Lung Ruoxue as her #1 enemy. However, this enemy was rather cunning and she was afraid that she wouldn't be able to defeat her with just a few tricks. Hence, Jimin's attitude towards Lung Ruoxue had become even more cautious. Chapter 1894, Two-Pronged Approach 2. I'm sorry. I lost my composure just now, please forgive me. After some consideration, Ji-min changed her previous attitude and became humble and polite. Meng Bao was speechless at the speed of her change in attitude. Meng Bao gently poked Lung Ruoxue's arm and whispered to her in a voice that everyone could hear, "Wow. This woman can change her face." They were still glaring at us just now, but in the blink of an eye, they're all over again. It's really magical. Isn't face-changing a compulsory course for all the daughters of noble families? Don't tell me you haven't learned it? Lung Ruoxue asked indifferently. I really haven't learned it. Meng Bao deliberately laughed in embarrassment, which was rare to see on his face. Then you should learn it. Don't say anything, you'll offend people. Lung Ruoxue reminded him indifferently. If they offended some despicable people, they would not even know how they died. Why do you want to learn that? It's tiring to change faces, I'm not interested. Meng Bao said disapprovingly. This is called, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Lung Ruoxue sighed helplessly. Then it'll be different. Meng Bao said after thinking for a while. You're already different enough. Lung Ruoxue rolled her eyes in her heart. I think so too. Meng Bao boasted shamelessly. At this moment, she was no longer embarrassed. Just like that, the two of them whispered one after another, completely ignoring Ji-min. The others also ignored Ji-min. For a time, Ji-min stood in place like a fool, and the anger in her heart multiplied. Damn it, she had already lowered her voice and tried to fix the conflict, but no one gave her a reaction. This made her feel very embarrassed. Thinking of this, Ji-min suddenly said, Are you guys not willing to forgive me? It was all my fault just now. I wasn't calm enough. I'm sorry. After saying that, she looked at Meng Bao guiltily. After all, she was mainly targeting Meng Bao and Zhou Kun just now. Hearing Ji-min's words, Meng Bao's eyes instantly widened and he looked at her in horror. Oh my God! This woman was really terrifying. She was actually so flexible. She still remembered her mother's words that this kind of woman was the scariest. Therefore, at this moment, Meng Bao made up his mind to stay far away from this woman in the future, in case he didn't even know that he had been set up by her. As for Ji-min's attitude towards him just now, she didn't argue with this woman on account of how terrifying she was. The main thing was that she was afraid that she couldn't set Ji-min up. After all, conspiracies and schemes were always open. She knew nothing about it. Lung Ruoxue smiled as she watched Ji-min transform from a vicious wolf into a little white flower. She felt speechless. With this woman's acting skills, it would be a pity if she didn't become an actress. However, this woman still had some brains. It was not bad to have such an opponent. Otherwise, wouldn't life be boring? As she thought of this, Lung Ruoxue's attitude towards Ji-min became more amiable. She smiled at Ji-min and said, Don't worry, Missy G. We don't blame you at all. We were also shocked by what happened just now, so we haven't come back to our senses yet. Besides, we all sympathize with you, so we don't mind your attitude. Don't worry. Lung Ruoxue's words confused everyone present. Although Ji-min had only targeted Meng Bao and Zhou Kun, based on their understanding of Lung Ruoxue, she should not have taken the initiative to interfere in this matter. Although they could all see that Ji-min wanted to hit on that devilish man, she didn't succeed, did she? Hence, they could not guess Lung Ruoxue's motive for being so concerned about her love rival. Meng Bao's reaction was even more direct. She stretched out a hand and placed it on Lung Ruoxue's forehead. Then, she muttered to herself, You don't have a fever. How could it be? Meng Bao could not figure it out. At the very least, from the time she had spent with Leng Ruoxue, she clearly knew that this woman was not an easy person to get along with. Even though she did not use her brain when she spoke or did things, her instincts were extremely sharp. Hence, she believed that she understood Leng Ruoxue more or less. She was extremely puzzled by Leng Ruoxue's actions of consoling that vixen. After all, that damned woman was the man who had taken a fancy to Leng Ruoxue. Of course I don't have a fever. Leng Ruoxue was speechless at Meng Bao's performance. She was just showing off her acting skills. Did these people have to react like this? Even Ji Yun was looking at her with a face full of fear, as if she had been replaced. This fact made her feel rather helpless. However, it was a good thing that the demon understood her. Leng Ruoxue gave the evildoer a praising look because she was very clear that the reason why Ji Min had fallen so miserably earlier was because of this fellow's manipulation. However, she was not a kind-hearted person, so she naturally would not pity Ji Min. How could she not pay the price for coveting her man? At this moment, the evildoer had walked to Leng Ruoxue's side and saved her from Leopard Meng's demonic grasp. At the same time, he gave Leopard Meng a sharp look. He must be tired of living to be hugging his woman. Meng Bao, who had sensed the meaning of the devilish look, was so frightened by it that her heart trembled. This man's aura is really too powerful and too terrifying. With just a glance, her little heart began to tremble. Of course, this was not because she was moved, but because she was scared. After giving Meng Bao a warning, the demon hugged Leng Ruoxue and found a corner to sit down. At this moment, Lu Tao and Cui Zhu also served the food they had prepared. He didn't expect it to be so shocking so early in the morning. As the two of them ate, their beautiful eyes sized up Leng Ruoxue, the demon, and Ji Min. Just now, their hearts were in their throats, and their impression of Ji Min had plummeted. Now, they couldn't be bothered with her. After breakfast, Leng Ruoxue and the demon went back into the tent. Seeing this, the flame of jealousy in Ji Min's heart burned wildly again. What are they trying to do by entering the tent in broad daylight? Ji Min's tone was a little questioning, but everyone present only glanced at her indifferently and was prepared to ignore her. They were fiancé and fiancée. What could outsiders do about what they wanted to do in the tent? Everyone, including Ji Tao and Ji Wu, thought the same, so no one responded to her words. Ji Tao, I'm asking you a question. Seeing that no one was paying attention, Ji Min felt embarrassed and could only call out names. Arg. What's wrong? Ji Tao, who was called out, played dumb. Although he had always been quite protective of Ji Min, this time, he didn't know how to protect her. Did you not hear what I said? Ji Min's face was red as she said unhappily. Chapter 1895. Two-Pronged Approach 3. What did he say? Ji Tao was determined to play dumb to the end. I say, what are they trying to do by entering the tent in broad daylight? Ji Min repeated. Oh, I don't know. Ji Tao blinked his eyes and said with an innocent face. However, he couldn't help but secretly complain in his heart. Did he look like he was easy to bully? Why did Ji Min always make him the first target? This made him very depressed. What about you guys? What do you guys think? When Ji Min saw that she couldn't get anything out of Ji Tao, she couldn't help but feel a little angry, so she simply turned the topic to everyone present. May I know what identity and position you are in to question us, Miss Ji? Yu Chen, who had originally planned to remain silent, opened his mouth. Who do you think you are? Do we have to answer just because you asked? Meng Bao was even more direct and did not give Ji Min any face. I was just a little curious and wanted to discuss it with you. Ji Min's face was red as she suppressed the anger in her heart and said with some embarrassment. Curious? You just need to pull a man into the tent and you'll know what they're going to do, right? Meng Bao said with a wretched expression. He even winked at Ji Min ambiguously, making her feel both embarrassed and angry. How could you be so? So, Ji Min stammered again. In fact, she wanted to say something so obscene, but she deliberately did not finish the sentence to give everyone some space to think. Is he so perverted and obscene? This is called the truth, unlike some people who are obviously dirty in their hearts but pretend to be noble and generous. Who are you pretending for? Meng Bao pointed at the mulberry and scolded the locust, his face full of disdain. Ji Min was so angry that she couldn't say anything. In the face of such a vulgar woman like Meng Bao, her previous means were completely useless. This made her feel like she was playing the zither against a cow. On the other hand, Meng Bao did not care about Ji Min's reaction and attitude at all. He walked straight to Zhou Kun's side and hugged him in his arms. Go! Little Kunkin, let's go into the tent and have some alone time with each other. Don't be with a female beast in heat, or else I'm afraid you'll lose your innocence. Upon hearing Meng Bao's words, Zhou Kun rolled his eyes continuously and thought to himself, aren't you the female beast in heat? However, he didn't dare to say this out loud. Otherwise, this tigress would not let him go. In a situation where he couldn't defeat his opponent in martial arts, he could only compromise and let the tigress do whatever she wanted. He was really too pitiful. Zhou Kun, who was secretly upset, was carried into the tent by Meng Bao under the watchful eyes of the crowd. Yu Chen and the others were already used to it, but Ji Min widened her eyes as if she had seen a monster and said with a look of disbelief, Unfortunately, there was no one to clear her doubts. After Leng Ruoxue and the others returned to the tent, Lu Tao and the rest did not stay any longer. They did not even greet Ji Min and directly entered the tent. Ji Min looked at the gradually decreasing number of people and widened her eyes in disbelief. Just as Ji Yun was about to return to his tent to be alone, he was stopped by Ji Min. Xiao Yun, I have something to discuss with you. Ji Min hurriedly said. When she saw the obvious impatience on Ji Yun's face, Ji Min went crazy. When had she become so unpopular? In the past, even if Ji Yun didn't like her, he wouldn't show it on his face. But now, the way Ji Yun looked at her was as if she was a pile of shit. This was something she couldn't accept. I have nothing to say to you. Ji Yun said indifferently. He didn't even look at Ji Min as he walked around her and prepared to return to his tent. Upon seeing this, Ji Min thickened her skin and followed him in. Then, she looked at Ji Yun with a serious expression. This is very important. It concerns our future. Oh, since that's the case, then tell me. Ji Yun said with a smile that was not a smile. He wanted to hear what Ji Min intended to tell him. You like that Miss Leng a lot, don't you? Ji Min went straight to the point. So what if I like him? So what if you don't like it? Ji Yun didn't answer directly, but Ji Min took his reaction as a silent admission. After all, she thought she understood her brother very well. Moreover, the affectionate gaze that Ji Yun used to look at Leng Ruoxue didn't escape her eyes. If you like her, you should take the initiative to fight for her. Otherwise, she will belong to someone else. Ji Min said in a somewhat resentful tone. Her impression of Ji Yun had always been that he was willful and reckless. Therefore, Ji Yun's current reaction made her very uncomfortable. She already has a fiancé. Ji Yun reminded with a faint smile. So what? As long as you like her, you should snatch her away, shouldn't you? You're the young master of the Ji family, don't tell me you're not worthy of her? Ji Min tempted. She couldn't help but think that if Ji Yun was willing to cooperate with her and the two of them attacked them at the same time, she believed that it wouldn't take long for them to get what they wanted. Unfortunately, would things really turn out as she thought? I'll snatch Ruoxue over, and then that evil man will be yours, right? Ji Yun said in understanding. In his heart, he despised Ji Min's whimsical thoughts. What a blind fool. She was completely blinded by beauty. Could it be that she didn't see that whether it was Leng Ruoxue or that demonic man, they were not people who could be manipulated by others? Although he did have some thoughts about Ruoxue, he had never thought of forcing her. However, this sister's thoughts could very likely bring disaster to the Ji family. Hence, he had to be on guard. Isn't this a happy ending? Having been seen through by Ji Yun, Ji Min no longer hid anything and directly admitted it. It's a win-win situation, but do you think it's feasible? Ji Yun wasn't optimistic about Ji Min's thoughts. Of course, this is my decision after much consideration. As long as we join forces, I don't believe that they can escape from our hands. Ji-min said confidently. Sister, it's good to be confident, but I think you should find a way to repair your teeth first. Otherwise, with your current appearance, I'm afraid no man can get you easily. Ji-yoon kindly reminded. I have my own plans for this. Ji-min's face immediately sank when she heard Ji-yoon mention her teeth. She spoke in an unpleasant tone. You just have to find a way to keep that woman busy, she said. Leave Brother Yi to me. All right. Ji-yoon nodded. He wanted to see what this self-righteous sister of his would do. Xiaoyun, as long as you cooperate with me, we'll definitely get what we want. Ji-min worriedly warned. No problem. Just tell me what you want to do. I'll find a way to cooperate with you. Ji-yoon agreed, but in his heart he wanted to watch a good show. After all, he didn't think that his sister, Ji-min, would have a chance to succeed. Then, I wish us a happy cooperation, Ji-min said with satisfaction. At this moment, her entire body and mind were filled with excitement. She simply didn't think about why her younger brother, who loved to oppose her the most, would agree so readily. However, even if she thought about it, she would probably think that this was the charm of love. After Ji-min got her wish, she left Ji-yoon's tent without looking back. Not long after she left, Yu-chin came again. Brother Yu, did you make an appointment with my sister? The two of them actually had such a tacit understanding and came to find me one after another. Ji-yoon laughed as he teased. Don't talk nonsense. I saw that she was looking for you, so I came to take a look. Yu-chin explained. Then, he turned to Ji-yoon and said, Ji-yoon, although we haven't known each other for a long time, I've always treated you as my younger brother and Ruoxue as my younger sister. So, I don't want you to ruin the hard-won friendship between us because of a single mistake. Do you understand? Yu-chen's words weren't without reason. After Ji-min looked for Ji-yoon, he had already guessed some things. However, he couldn't say it out loud. After all, he might have been overthinking it. However, he was older than Ji-yoon, so it was fine to give him a reminder. There was nothing wrong with this. He could just take it as a rainy day plan. Who asked one of the siblings to like little sister Ruoxue and the other to be interested in her fiancé? What an ill-fated relationship. Don't worry, brother Yu. I know what I'm doing. I won't do anything rash. Ji-yoon nodded. In his heart, he was very grateful to Yu-chin. After all, Yu-shu was willing to say these words to him. It was enough to show that Yu-chin did not treat him as an outsider and was sincere to him. Otherwise, he would not care about his life or death. That's good. That sister of yours, sigh. Yu-chin sighed at the mention of Ji-min. That woman really made him speechless. She won't turn back until she's badly injured. Ji-yoon understood. In fact, if a bloody head could make Ji-min turn back, that would still be good. He was afraid that Ji-min would be stubborn and wouldn't give up until she achieved her goal. If that happened, it would definitely be a great disaster for the Ji family. When he heard Ji-yoon's words, Yu-chin nodded in agreement and secretly decided to keep an eye on Ji-min within his capabilities so that she would not cause trouble for sister Ruoxue. For the next few days, Ji-min kept a very low profile. She did not even look at evildoer in the eye. When she saw the two of them, she would only greet Lung Ruoxue as if evildoer was air and did not exist. Such a Ji-min made Lung Ruoxue feel that she was a stranger. Looking at Ji-min, who was trying her best to get close to her and please her every day, Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but feel a sense of wariness. Although she didn't know what Ji-min was up to, it was always better to be safe than sorry. At the same time, the demon took the initiative to look for Zhou Kun. Chapter 1896, The Call of the Door, 1. The reason why the demon looked for Zhou Kun was entirely because of Zhou Kun's previous challenge to him. However, after Zhou Kun saw the demon, he was not happy at all. He trembled and looked at the demon with a vigilant look. He asked in a trembling voice, What are you doing? At this moment, he had long forgotten the challenge he had raised to the monster. Didn't you challenge me? If I lose to you, you'll have to leave Schwer. I don't think we have anything important to do right now, so why don't we fight now? The demon said indifferently. No one could tell his emotions from his expression. Upon hearing that, Zhou Kun trembled even more violently. He was only a god-tier master. How would he dare to fight with the God King? Moreover, the demonic man's aura seemed to be even stronger than Yu Qin and Meng Bao's. If he really fought with them, wouldn't that be courting death? At this moment, he was a little regretful. Why didn't he ask her fiancé's strength clearly before he wanted to challenge him? Great, now it's too late to stop. Beauty is harmful. And looking at this man's posture, if she didn't fight with him, it seemed that he wouldn't let it go. What was he supposed to do? Zhou Kun felt extremely conflicted. With Meng Bao around, he no longer had much hope that he could be together with Leng Ruoxue. After all, Meng Bao had leashed him. Furthermore, she had been following him closely all day, causing him to not even dare to take a second look at Leng Ruoxue. Otherwise, if he was discovered by Leopard Meng, he would suffer tonight. Seeing Zhou Kun's dilemma, the demon urged him indifferently, "Come quickly." After the battle, Shui Er's ownership will be even clearer. When the evildoer said that, he deliberately emphasized the word belonging. Upon hearing that, Zhou Kun's heart trembled for no reason. He could tell that this man was not to be trifled with, and it seemed that he could not afford to offend him. Don't waste time, I still have to accompany Shui Er after this fight. The demon couldn't help but feel a little impatient when he saw that Zhou Kun still had no reaction. This man is really not a man. Why didn't he hesitate when he challenged me back then? Now that he had really come to accept the challenge, he was actually hesitating. This was preposterous. Upon seeing Zhou Kun's expression, the demon was even more determined to beat Zhou Kun up in one go, lest he had any ideas about Shui. In fact, when he first heard about this matter, he had intended to make Zhou Kun suffer a fate worse than death. He actually dared to have designs on his woman. Wasn't he courting death? However, seeing that he had now become a certain woman's exclusive property, he changed his mind and decided to let Zhou Kun live well and for a long time. As for Zhou Kun's enemies, he did not mind having a talk with them on Zhou Kun's behalf if there was a chance. Zhou Kun wanted to refuse, but he couldn't bring himself to say it. He could only look at the devilish man in front of him while trembling. He's so useless. But could he be blamed for this? The pressure this man gave him was like a mountain, and he couldn't bear it. At this moment, Meng Bao, who had been eavesdropping outside, rushed in. "I'll fight little Kunkin's challenge for him." Meng Bao suppressed the anger in his heart and growled in a low voice. Then he glared at Zhou Kun fiercely. "Damn it, no wonder he didn't allow me to be present just now. It turns out that he's up to this?" Although Meng Bao was angry, Zhou Kun was her subordinate. Therefore, she still had to support Zhou Kun at critical moments. Besides, Zhou Kun was not in a good condition to fight. Leopard. Upon hearing Meng Bao's words, Zhou Kun was so touched that tears welled up in his eyes. He thought to himself, Bao Bao is still the best. However, Meng Bao did not give him a good look. He was the one who challenged me. The demon refused. He accepted the challenge not only to respond to Zhou Kun's challenge, but more importantly, to teach Zhou Kun a good lesson. If Meng Bao took action on Zhou Kun's behalf, there would be no point in accepting the challenge. Therefore, how could he possibly accept it? Why not? Little Kunkin is my man. I can help him. Meng Bao said in dissatisfaction. Her intuition told her that this demonic man looked down on her, so he didn't want to fight her. He's a man. If news of him letting a woman stand up for him were to spread, would he still think of having a foothold in the divine realm in the future? The demon said in a light tone. But he can't fight in his current condition. Meng Bao stammered. She knew that Zhou Kun's reputation would be affected if she took action. However, Zhou Kun was pregnant with her baby. How could she allow Zhou Kun to fight with someone at this time? What if she accidentally hurt her child? Why can't I? The demon asked in confusion. His handsome face was filled with confusion. He's pregnant, so he can't use force. I hope young Master Yi can understand. Meng Bao said honestly. Oh, so it's like this. The demon nodded his head and suppressed his laughter. I can understand that he can't use force because he's pregnant, but how do I deal with the challenge he issued to me? Could it be that she had to wait for him to give birth to the child? I can't wait that long. The demon seemed to be in a difficult position, his handsome face full of conflict. Didn't I say that I'll fight in his place? Meng Bao reminded. I've also said that I refuse. The demon said, leaving no room for discussion. Then you'll have to wait for him to give birth to my child before you come to find him. Meng Bao said unhappily, but he had made up his mind to let Zhou Kun give birth one after another, in case this evil man really came to settle scores with Zhou Kun. She did not want to give this demon a chance to hurt her little Kun Kun. All right then. Seeing this, the demon could only agree. Then he left with a face full of regret. As soon as the demon left, Zhou Kun immediately took the initiative to hug Meng Bao, feeling extremely touched. He said gratefully, "Leopard, it's all thanks to you. Otherwise, I'm afraid I wouldn't even know how I died today." He still had lingering fear in his heart. You just found out? I'll let you challenge anyone you want. I'm asking you to randomly issue a challenge to others. Meng Bao pinched Zhou Kun's strong body with all his might, feeling resentful that Zhou Kun had failed to live up to his expectations. Zhou Kun was in so much pain that he kept squeaking. Woo-woo. Leopard, I know I was wrong. Stop pinching me. It hurts. Zhou Kun begged for mercy as he dodged. The wretched woman was ruthless, and she only pinched a little bit of his flesh. It was so painful that he wanted to bang his head against the wall. You'll die from the pain. Although she knew that little Kunkin had been coveting Lung Ruoxue, with her around, little Kunkin's wishful thinking would naturally fail. However, when she saw her fiancé looking for her, she could not help but feel sour inside. Leopard, I'm dying from the pain, are you willing to do that? Zhou Kun pretended to be weak because he knew very well that Meng Bao was his backer now. Without Meng Bao's protection, he would be in a very miserable state. Hence, no matter what his purpose was, he had to coax this woman at this moment. Chapter 1897. The Call of the Door, 2. What's there to be reluctant about? It's not easy to find a two-legged toad, but there are many two-legged men. Meng Bao said disapprovingly. If it were in the past, she would never have said such words. However, ever since she had Zhou Kun by her side, her self-confidence had skyrocketed, and she seemed to have seen the blueprint of her future harem. Therefore, she was a little smug. Leopard, I'm sad. Upon hearing that, Zhou Kun looked hurt and glared at Meng Bao resentfully. He then lowered his head and looked at the ground. Why are you hurting my ass? You had so many women in the past, I should be the one feeling sad. Meng Bao roared furiously. As long as she thought of this, the anger in her heart would be uncontrollable. You said it yourself, it was in the past. Zhou Kun reminded him carefully. All right, since it's a matter of the past, I'll be magnanimous and not haggle over it with you. However, if you dare to cheat behind my back in the future, I'll make you die an ugly death. I mean what I say. Meng Bao warned him seriously. Bao, I wouldn't dare. I only need you. Upon hearing that, Zhou Kun hurriedly tried to please her. That's more like it. By the way, you can't have any more ideas about that Lung girl. Let me tell you, her fiancé is not to be trifled with, so you'd better not provoke him. If you see him in the future, you must stay as far away from him as possible. Otherwise, just based on the letter of challenge you sent him, he has a reason to kill you. Meng Bao reminded. Then what should we do? Zhou Kun was really afraid. What else can we do? Colmix. Although she had already decided that she would have the opportunity to plead with Lung Ruoxue, she would not tell Zhou Kun about it, in case he did it again in the future. Bao, if something happens to me because of this, you must raise our child well and tell him not to make the mistakes his father once made. Zhou Kun thought about it and actually said his last words. You can tell this to our child yourself, I won't say it. Meng Bao was exasperated. This guy only has this much courage? After saying that, Meng Bao turned around and left in a huff, leaving Zhou Kun, who was secretly struggling. After the demon left Zhou Kun's place, he headed straight to Lung Ruoxue's tent. At this moment, Lung Ruoxue was lying comfortably in the tent, enjoying the not-so-beautiful scenery outside. When she saw the demon walking in with a smirk on his face, she raised her brows and could not help but ask, "Why? Did you teach Zhou Kun a lesson?" She knew that the evil demon had gone to settle the score with Zhou Kun. However, she did not think that the evil demon would be able to achieve his goal. After all, with Meng Bao around and Zhou Kun being pregnant, there was a high chance that the matter would be foiled. "No, I didn't tea. That guy was too useless. He couldn't even speak when he saw me. In the end, it was that leopard who came forward and said that he would fight on his behalf. However, I didn't agree." The demon explained. The person he was looking for was Zhou Kun, and the person he wanted to teach a lesson to was Zhou Kun. Therefore, he naturally would not agree to Meng Zhan fighting in place of Zhou Kun. Meng Bao loves Zhou Kun very much. "I'm afraid you won't be able to fight him." Lung Ruoxue said. "It doesn't matter. It's quite interesting to see that guy being so obedient to a woman." He even felt that Zhou Kun's current life would definitely be better than him teaching Zhou Kun a lesson to vent his hatred. Which man could tolerate the taboo of becoming a woman? Unfortunately, Zhou Kun could not resist at all. "Ha, that's right. After seeing the way they get along, you might sympathize with Zhou Kun." Lung Ruoxue's smile was like a little fox, extremely adorable. When the demon saw this, he could not help but pull Lung Ruoxue into his arms and hug her tightly. Xue Er's body was so fragrant, so soft, and so comfortable to hold. The demon took a deep breath and thought to himself with a satisfied expression. Just then, a deafening sound came from outside the tent. "Is little sister Lung here? I have something to tell you." There was no need to ask to know that the one who spoke was Ji Min, who had stopped talking for a few days. When the demon and Lung Ruoxue heard this voice, they looked at each other. Then, Lung Ruoxue's mind changed, and she sent the demon into the bracelet. "I'm here, come in," she replied. "Younger sister Lung, why do you lock yourself in the tent all day and not go out to chat with us?" "I'm so bored," Ji Min asked with a face full of concern. At the same time, her pair of beautiful eyes kept sizing up the surroundings of Lung Ruoxue's tent, as if she was looking for something. However, after a round of searching, she finally confirmed that Lung Ruoxue was the only one in the tent. How was that possible? She clearly saw Brother Yi come in, but why was he not there now? One must know that she had not really wanted to chat with Lung Ruoxue when she came to look for her. Her main purpose was definitely to have ulterior motives. However, her purpose for coming here was not here at all. For a moment, she did not know what to do. If she were to chat with Lung Ruoxue, she really didn't think there was anything to talk about with her. If the conversation between the two of them continued to revolve around Yichen, she was afraid that her efforts over the past few days would be in vain. After all, she had acted as if she did not care about Yichen these few days. It was also because of this that her relationship with Lung Ruoxue had progressed so quickly. Even the way they addressed each other had become more intimate. Therefore, she really did not want to waste her efforts over the past few days. "I'm used to being alone," Lung Ruoxue said indifferently, but in her heart, she scoffed at Ji Min's motive. Every time this woman came to find her, she would first find out if the evildoer was here. If the evildoer was here, even if he ignored her, she would still be overjoyed. If the evildoer was not here, she would be as listless as she was now, with a face full of hidden bitterness. Lung Ruoxue could not understand this at all. Ji Min looked like a smart woman, but why did she become infatuated with a man? Seeing her behavior, Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but suspect that the Ji family's education of her had failed. After all, the young miss of a Zhengshan family couldn't be so weak. Otherwise, how could she serve the family? A beauty trap was enough to capture the young lady that the family had carefully cultivated. Which family would dare to put such a clansman in an important position? Ji Min shouldn't be unaware of these reasons, but Ji Min still insisted on doing so. It seemed that she could only say that the charm of a demon was too great. "By the way, why isn't Brother Yi accompanying you? I think I saw him come in here just now." After enduring it for a while, Ji Min still couldn't help but ask. "Yes, but he left before you came." Lung Ruoxue said helplessly. Brother Yi, why aren't you accompanying you? This place is so dangerous. Ji Min said with a disapproving look, but she was thinking in her heart, if Brother Yi didn't accompany you, how would I have the chance to see him? How would she have the chance to perform well in front of him? Chapter 1898, The Call of the Door, 3. Dangerous? We've been here for almost a month, and we've only seen a few people. How could there be danger? Lung Ruoxue said disapprovingly. However, she was thinking in her heart, where did the people who entered this place go? Could this place really be boundless? She had always been suspicious of this. Since it's a competition, it's impossible to be without danger. It looks calm now, but I can only say that the time isn't right. So, Brother Yi should be by your side every day, so that he can protect you well. Ji Min said very seriously. Those who didn't know would think that she cared about Lung Ruoxue a lot when they heard her words. In fact, she was doing it for her own selfish reasons. Men have things they need to do, how can they guard a woman all day? Besides, we women shouldn't rely too much on men, or we'll lose ourselves. So, if you want to protect yourself, you have to become stronger. Only then can you guarantee that you won't be hurt. Lung Ruoxue said indifferently. What you said makes sense. Ji Min agreed with an embarrassed smile. Miss Ji, what's the matter? With a faint smile, Lung Ruoxue took the initiative to ask about the reason why Ji Min had come to look for her. Or rather, it could be said that it was an excuse. I want to ask you when we're leaving this place. The gears in Ji Min's head turned quickly. She thought for a while and said, actually, the main reason she came to look for Lung Ruoxue was to see Yechen. She said that she had something to do because she was afraid that Lung Ruoxue would refuse to see her. Otherwise, why would she come to look for Lung Ruoxue for no reason? We don't plan to leave this place. Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. Arg, don't tell me you guys want to stay here until the end of the competition? Ji Min asked in surprise. How could this be? If she stayed here, how would she have the chance to see Yechen? After all, even if she came to look for Lung Ruoxue every day, she could not guarantee that she would be able to see her sweetheart every time. Why not? Lung Ruoxue laughed. But this is a competition. If we stay here, we won't have the chance to fight with others. Ji Min reminded him anxiously. Even if I don't stay here, I'm afraid I won't have many chances to fight with others, right? Or do you want to have a fight with everyone here? Lung Ruoxue said with a smile that was not a smile. Actually, she could not understand it either. Wasn't this the elite competition? Why were there so few chances to fight? When she first entered this place, she was full of pride and passion. Now, she had been here for almost a month, and her initial enthusiasm had almost been worn out. At this time, she only wanted to leave this place as soon as the competition was over. She didn't want to stay in this damn place for another moment. I just feel that we shouldn't be stuck in one place. That way, we won't have more chances to see others. Ji Min whispered. Before we came here, we've been to many places, but the people we've seen are only these people you see now. So, do you still think we should go somewhere else? Moreover, there were only a few days left until the end of the competition, so it was better to stay here. Of course, if you can't stay here any longer, you can go to other places to have a look. I won't stop you. Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. In other words, she was saying that they would not leave this place. I was just making a suggestion. Since no one really wants to move, I will naturally obey the majority. Ji Min quickly expressed her position. What a joke, how could she leave alone? Since that's the case, Miss Ji can live here in peace. To be honest, we won't be able to stay here for long. Lung Ruoxue lifted her eyelids and said indifferently. N. Ji Min nodded unwillingly. Miss Ji, is there anything else? Lung Ruoxue shot a glance at Ji Min and continued to ask. It's gone. Ji Min said hatefully. She could tell that he was asking her to leave. However, she didn't want to leave this place so soon. She still had a glimmer of hope and wanted to see Yechen. Then I won't send you off. Seeing that Ji Min was acting dumb, Lung Ruoxue had no choice but to be direct. After she finished speaking, she immediately closed her eyes and pretended to sleep. At this moment, Baby, who had been lying in her arms, opened his beautiful purple eyes that were overflowing with light. He glanced at Ji-min, and a hint of ridicule flashed across his eyes. Seeing the reaction of the man and the beast, Ji-min was furious. That damned Lung Ruoxue. Those detestable foxes, they actually... She felt a deep blow to her self-esteem. However, he'll have the chance to get back at them for their contempt, Ji-min thought to herself. Then she left Lung Ruoxue's tent in a fit of anger. Cute master! That annoying woman has left. Seeing Ji-min leave, the baby cheered and almost danced. Lung Ruoxue nodded and entered the bangle with the treasure. Compared to their jubilant mood, Ji-min's mood wasn't so good. After leaving Lung Ruoxue's tent, she went to look for Ji-yun. Before she even entered Ji-yun's tent, she could hear the sounds of laughter coming from inside. This could not help but make the anger in her heart grow even more. Damn it, she had suffered at Lung Ruoxue's hands, but these guys were actually talking and laughing. In fact, she was being unreasonable. How would she know what had happened between her and Lung Ruoxue? Could it be that because of Lung Ruoxue's cold treatment of her, no one could even smile? Ji-min walked into Ji-yun's tent, her heart filled with anger. After seeing Ji-min, the people in the tent stopped laughing. Ji-yun looked at her with an unkind expression and said with some displeasure, "What are you doing here? Can I come?" When Ji-min heard this, she was so angry that her lungs were about to explode. Damn it, what kind of attitude was this? No matter what, she was still the young miss of the Ji family, and now they were treating her like an outsider. How could she, who had always been proud and arrogant, tolerate this? Didn't I tell you not to disturb me if there's nothing important? Ji-yun shot a glance at Ji-min and said coldly. From his sister's appearance, she must have been treated coldly by Ruoxue. Otherwise, she would not be so flustered and exasperated. "I'm looking for you." Ji-min gritted her teeth, her heart filled with endless hatred for Ji-yun. This was her lousy little brother? To think that she loved him so much, but this damn brat always wanted to go against her. If there's something, say it. Ji-yun urged. I have something to discuss with Ji-yun. Ji-min glanced at the people in the tent and said to them. When Ji-tao and Ji-woo heard Ji-min's words, they were about to get up and leave, but they were stopped by Ji-yun. "Sister, if you have something to say, just say it. They're not outsiders, so there's no need for them to leave." Ji-yun said unhappily while glaring at the two. He was angry at them for listening to Ji-min. Look at how calm Big Brother you was. He didn't take Ji-min's words seriously at all. Receiving Ji-yun's glare, Ji-tao and Ji-woo felt aggrieved. Could they not leave? Ji-min was the eldest miss of the Ji family, and her status in the Ji family was above theirs. If they didn't give Ji-min face and were later sued by Ji-min, the losses would outweigh the gains. When Ji-min heard Ji-yun's words, she was so angry that smoke seeped out of her 7 orifices. She fiercely glared at Ji-yun before turning around and leaving in a huff. Seeing Ji-min leave, Ji-yun laughed complacently. He knew that Ji-min's words would be shameful, hee. Suddenly, a cry of surprise came from outside the tent. Ji-tao and Ji-woo's expressions changed upon hearing this. "It's Sister Min." The two of them asked worriedly. "Don't worry about her. She'll be fine. Maybe she just wants to lure us out." Ji-yun disapproved. But Ji-tao was a little uneasy. However, before he could finish his sentence, he swallowed his words under Ji-yun's glare. Ji-yun's gaze just now was so frightening. At this moment, the earth suddenly trembled and the entire space trembled. Ji-yun and the others looked at each other and then rushed out of the tent without hesitation. At the same time, Lung Ruoxue, the demon, Lu Tao, Cui Zhu, Meng Bao and Zhou Kun, who felt that something was amiss, ran out of their tents. They gathered together when they saw Ji-yun and the others. What happened? Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but ask. Her beautiful eyes were searching everywhere. Other than Ji-min, everyone was here. Didn't that mean that something had happened to Ji-min? However, just as she finished her sentence and before the crowd could respond, the space in front of them started to distort. Following that, a few white lights flashed and enveloped Lung Ruoxue and the rest within. When the blinding light disappeared, Lung Ruoxue and the others opened their eyes. They realized that they were no longer in their campsite. Without realizing it, they had been transported to a strange and mysterious place. Where is this place? Everyone looked at each other in surprise. They were currently in a space filled with dense fog. This space seemed to be boundless, and it was much better than where they had been before. At the very least, there was no oppressive and depressing atmosphere here. Even the spiritual qi was unusually dense. Not only that, they felt extremely comfortable after only staying here for a while, as if they had returned to their mother's warm embrace. Just as everyone was still in a state of shock and disbelief, a door that was shimmering with white light appeared from the fog. The door was so tall that it reached the clouds. The door exuded a majestic aura. With a bang, the door opened to both sides. The aura that came from the door seemed to be calling Lung Ruoxue and the others, causing them to walk towards the door involuntarily. Chapter 1899, Dream Dust Space 1. Lung Ruoxue and the rest followed the feeling in their hearts and walked through the door. After passing through a wide passage, they arrived at a square. At this moment, the square was already filled with people. However, most of them looked very confused. It was obvious that they had not yet adapted to the sudden change. Not only were there god-level masters, but there were also divine lords, divine kings, and divine emperors. It should be said that the representatives of almost all the families who had come to participate in the competition were gathered here. Seeing these people, Lung Ruoxue's suspicion grew even deeper. What did he mean by gathering all of them together? However, she still maintained a calm and composed look on her face. At this moment, the Ning family's participants saw Lung Ruoxue and quickly went up to greet her. "Miss Lung, we finally get to see you." The one who spoke was an elder of the Ning family. He was about 40 years old, handsome, and had the strength of a divine emperor. The moment he saw Lung Ruoxue, his eyes seemed to be filled with tears. He was also the vice leader of the Ning family. When Lung Ruoxue saw how agitated this old man was, she could not help but feel a sense of exasperation. What was going on? Why did it seem like the emperor had found his organization when he saw her? Or did something happen that she didn't know about? "Elder Yi, what happened?" Lung Ruoxue asked with a suspicious look. "No, it's just that I haven't seen Miss Lung for too long, and I really miss her," Elder Yi said, slightly embarrassed. His cheeks were even slightly red. When the demon heard his words, he glared and snorted coldly, dissatisfied. "Ah!" When Elder Tong saw the evildoer's reaction, he was so frightened that he shrunk his neck. He smiled bitterly and transmitted his voice to Lung Ruoxue. "Miss Leng, to be honest, this time's elite gathering seems to be different from the past. I don't know if this is a good or bad thing." What's different?" Lung Ruoxue was very curious. In the previous elite meetings, everyone should have already started fighting by now. However, we are still standing here. More importantly, we don't even know where we are. However, what is certain is that we can't start a war even if we want to. It seems that our strength has been restricted by someone, and no one can fight. Elder Chu explained helplessly. Previously, there were families who hated each other. When they saw each other, they were ready to attack. However, they realized that they could not use their divine skills at all. From that, they knew that they could not attack at this time. How did this happen? Lung Ruoxue asked in surprise. No wonder these people were all standing here with blank expressions. Now, she finally knew the reason. Furthermore, now that everyone is gathered together, if we were to really fight, I'm afraid, Elder Chu wanted to speak but stopped halfway. However, Lung Ruoxue understood what he meant. Now that the participants from the various groups were all gathered together, the number of casualties would be incalculable if they were to fight. This would also give those who wanted revenge the best chance. Hence, if they were to really fight, this battle would be extremely bloody. Elder Yi, now that things have come to this, there's no point in thinking about it. However, I believe that since someone has gathered all of us here, they definitely won't let us stand here stupidly. So, since we're already here, let's just take it one step at a time. When the time comes, everyone will adapt to the situation. Lung Ruoxue said after some thought. N. Elder Tong nodded his head slightly. After seeing Lung Ruoxue, his originally anxious heart actually calmed down. Furthermore, the family head had repeatedly reminded them to follow Lung Ruoxue's lead if they had the chance to see her after entering the special space. Hence, when he saw Lung Ruoxue, it was as if he had seen his backbone. Following that, Lung Ruoxue transmitted her voice to Evildoer, Ji Yun and the others, briefly explaining the situation that Elder Yi had told her. After everyone understood, they stood at their original positions and waited for the situation to unfold. Miss. All of a sudden, Lung Ruoxue heard a familiar voice. She raised her head and saw Feng De, Lin Yuan, and the rest walking in their direction with large strides. However, who was the girl following behind them? The girl looked very young. She had a childish face and was full of youthfulness. Although she wasn't very beautiful, she gave people a feeling of vitality. Miss, we've missed you so much. Just as Lung Ruoxue was making wild guesses, Feng De and the rest had already walked in front of her. I also missed you guys. Lung Ruoxue said with a faint smile. Feng De and the others seemed to be in good spirits, so they shouldn't have encountered any big trouble. You're their master? At this moment, a voice interrupted Lung Ruoxue and Feng De. Lung Ruoxue lifted her eyelids slightly and looked at the woman who spoke indifferently. Then she gave Feng De a questioning look. Miss, ignore her. She's sick. Feng De quickly said in a bad mood. Looking at the woman who followed him like a shadow, Feng De felt very regretful in his heart. Why did I meddle in other people's business in the beginning? Now, he had provoked a big problem that he couldn't get rid of. You're the sick one. You actually dare to say that about me? Don't you know that I'm your future master? When the woman heard Feng De's words, she growled in anger. However, Feng De's reaction was to roll his eyes at her, which made the woman even more furious. When Lung Ruoxue heard the latter's words, she raised her eyebrows in disbelief. Then, she turned to Feng De and said, What do you mean by future master? She did not believe that Feng De was planning to betray her. Young miss, ignore her. Just treat her words as farts. Feng De said rudely. Your words are bullshit. The woman roared and jumped 3 times in anger. Do any of you want to explain to me what's going on? Lung Ruoxue felt a headache coming on when she saw Feng De and the woman fighting like cockfights. I want him. Just give him to me. When the woman heard Lung Ruoxue's words, she immediately went straight to the point. You want him? I'm sorry, but he already has a master. I can't make a decision for him. Hearing the woman's overbearing words, Lung Ruoxue was speechless. She couldn't help but guess in her heart, it's only been a few days since we last met. How did Feng De get involved with Tao Hua? This time, he was probably going to be out of luck, because she could already feel the cold air coming from Green Peach's body. Feng De. You're on your own. Aren't you his master? Why couldn't she make a decision for him? State your price. I want him. The woman said stubbornly. Offer a price? I don't understand what you mean. Lung Ruoxue asked indifferently. Name a price and let me have him. You don't even understand this? The woman looked at Lung Ruoxue as if she was looking at an idiot. She thought to herself, why is this woman's comprehension ability so bad? To think that she was so pretty, but she was actually a fool. Chapter 1900, Dream Dust Space, 2. It was fortunate that Lung Ruoxue did not know what this woman was thinking. Otherwise, she would definitely be depressed. How was she stupid? It was clearly this woman who didn't make things clear. Moreover, how could feelings be measured by money? He even wanted to buy her subordinates from her. Who did he think she was? She wasn't a human trafficker. I don't understand. My subordinate will not sell. Of course, if he is willing to follow you, I will not stop him. Lung Ruoxue said calmly. You said it. When the woman heard Lung Ruoxue's words, she said happily. Then, she turned to Feng De and said, You heard it. She doesn't care about you at all, and she's going to send you to me. Leave her quickly and follow me in the future. When the woman said this, her delicate face was full of pride. However, when Lung Ruoxue heard the woman's words, she could not help but widen her eyes. Did she hear it wrong? When did she say that she would give Fengde to her? Pfft. A sneer sounded in everyone's ears. When the woman heard the laughter, she raised her head unhappily and looked at the person who laughed. What are you laughing at? What's so funny about that? The woman was furious because her intuition told her that this person was laughing at her. The person who laughed out loud was Ji-yun. He spoke with an innocent expression. Miss, although I don't know who you are, I don't think it's a good idea to force a deal, right? Forced selling? What do you mean by that? The woman didn't understand Ji-yun's words. Ruoxue didn't say that she would give her subordinate to you. Why are you overthinking it? Ji-yun said honestly. Why not? Didn't she say so? If Fengde was willing to follow me, wouldn't she stop him? The woman replied matter-of-factly. Then she glared at Lung Ruoxue and said fiercely, Are you going back on your word? I'm not going back on my word, but Fengde didn't say he wanted to follow you, did he? Lung Ruoxue was helpless. It seemed like there was a generation gap between them. Hearing Lung Ruoxue's words, the woman immediately turned to look at Fengde and pressed on. Fengde, tell your previous master that he'll be following me from now on. I won't follow you. I told you. Fengde rolled his eyes and said speechlessly, there was something wrong with this woman's ability to understand. How could you lie to me? When the woman heard this, tears immediately welled up in her eyes, ready to flood the Golden Mountain at any moment. How did I lie to you? Don't spout nonsense. Fengde's eyes widened as he said in disbelief, Fuck. This woman was too good at spouting nonsense. Wasn't she clearly maligning him? Thinking of this, he looked uneasily at Green Peach's cold face. His heart was so nervous that it was like a little rabbit. He was jumping around. He was definitely more wrong than Dou-yi. You saved me, so you're mine. How can you abandon me? The moment the lady finished speaking, Lung Ruoxue and the rest had a strange look on their faces. It seemed like this was trouble caused by saving someone. I saved people and saved problems? Fengde said angrily, Fuck. This was infuriating. If he had known this would happen, he would have let this damned woman live and die on her own. Now, he had saved her, but he had gotten himself into trouble. What was this? Since you've saved me, shouldn't you be a good person to the end? The woman said in a low voice. A good person to the end? Does it mean that I have to follow you in the future? If that's the case, I'd rather be the bad guy. Fengde said unhappily. He had had enough of this woman. He really didn't know what this woman's brain was made of. How could she have such a strange idea? Or was it that whoever saved her would be unlucky? Fengde's words made the woman's tears start to well up in her eyes, but they did not fall. When she heard this, everyone understood and could not help but sigh in their hearts. You can't just save people randomly. Otherwise, if he saved someone like this and had to follow her in the future, he would be depressed. Fengde's matter rang an alarm bell for everyone. Lung Ruoxue's head started to hurt as she watched the woman sobbing in front of them. What was going on? She couldn't help but glare at Fengde. Then she said to the woman, Now that things are clear, you can give up, right? Why? Why did it turn out like this? Sob, in what way am I inferior to you? Why is he unwilling to follow me? I just want to find a guard who can protect me. Is that wrong? The woman said with an aggrieved expression, as if Fengde had done something wrong to her. Is this how you treat your savior? Hearing the woman's self-reproaching, Lu Tao couldn't bear it anymore and asked, Damn it, where did this top-grade item come from? He had saved her, yet she did not know how to be grateful. She even wanted him to be her guard for the rest of her life. What kind of logic was this? He didn't owe her anything, so why should he be at her beck and call? What's wrong with me? The woman asked in confusion, a tear still dripping from the corner of her eye. Fengde saved you. It's fine if you don't know how to be grateful to him, and we don't care. But what right do you have to make him your guard? Who do you think you are? Lu Tao roared. I'm already repaying him by letting him be my guard, don't you know that? The woman asked. What kind of repayment is this? Don't tell me you think it's an honor to be your guard? Lu Tao mocked. Of course. Being able to be my guard is enough to show that I think highly of him. You should know that not just anyone is qualified to be my guard. The woman's face was filled with pride. She truly felt that it was a great honor to be her guard. Ah! Hearing this woman's extremely narcissistic words, Leng Ruoxue and the others were completely speechless. It was rare to see a woman who could be narcissistic to this extent. Thank you for thinking so highly of me, but I don't need it. Feng De said, although he had said this more than once. You actually don't know what's good for you? The woman shouted angrily. I don't know what's good for me. I really don't think that being your guard is something worthy of my honor. Feng De said honestly. That's right, who do you think you are? Lin Yuan chimed in. He had seen enough of the show, so he naturally had to speak up for his own people. You shut up. I know you're jealous of him because I don't like you. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's interruption, the woman immediately pointed her spear at Lin Yuan and roared. Thank you for not taking a fancy to me. Otherwise, I would be depressed to death. Lin Yuan snorted. Do you know who I am? How dare you speak to me like this? When the woman saw that Lin Yuan didn't take her seriously at all, she became more and more angry from embarrassment. I don't care who you are. In short, Feng De saved you out of kindness, not to save himself from trouble. So, if you know how to repay our kindness, you better disappear from our sight. Otherwise, I don't mind handing you over to that person. Lin Yuan threatened with a smile that was not a smile. Chapter 1901, Dream Dust Space 3. When they met this woman, she was being attacked by a young man and his men. Later, they found out that the man was the woman's fiancé. Suddenly, a group of crows flew over their heads and they felt that they had been too nosy. Especially Feng De, who was extremely depressed as if he had eaten a dead fly. What made him even more mad was that the woman actually pestered him and wanted him to be his guard. Hearing Lin Yuan's threat, the woman's face turned pale with fright. However, she still refused to admit defeat and said, You dare. If you dare to do that, I won't let you off. You can try and see if I dare to or not. When Lin Yuan said this, his eyes were looking in another direction, which was the direction of the woman's fiancé. As if their hearts were connected, the young man was also staring at them. Upon seeing this, Lin Yuan's lips curled into a smirk. Although the two of them were engaged, their relationship seemed to be very unusual. If you dare to hand me over to him, I won't let you off. The woman was at a loss for words. Other than this sentence, she could not think of anything else to threaten Lin Yuan with. However, Lin Yuan did not care about her threat at all. Isn't that man your fiancé? Isn't it only right and proper for him to protect you? Lin Yuan said with a smile. Who needs his protection? Even if I die, I don't need his protection. The woman shouted in excitement. TSK. Hearing this, your fiancé will be so sad. Lin Yuan said with a look of sympathy. As expected, the man's expression changed. You shut up. The woman felt the cold wind behind her and couldn't help but shout. What do you think I like to talk to you? Lin Yuan said in an infuriating manner. After he finished speaking, he really did not say anything else. The woman glared at him with her watery eyes, unable to vent her anger. Her face turned from red to white, and from white to red again. Looking at the tense atmosphere, Leng Ruoxue sighed softly and said, Miss, although I don't know what's going on between you and your fiancé, it's a private matter after all. Feng De has helped you once, and he won't help you a second time. So, don't bother him anymore. Let's put an end to this matter. The woman was not convinced and wanted to retort. However, under Leng Ruoxue's sharp gaze, she could only obediently shut her mouth. Following that, Leng Ruoxue introduced Ji Yun and the others to Feng De and the others. After exchanging some pleasantries, they completely ignored the woman's presence. The woman was so angry that she stood at the side and stared helplessly. However, no one paid her any attention. The more she thought about it, the angrier she got. She stomped her feet and turned around to leave angrily. As she watched the woman's back, Lung Ruoxue asked curiously. Who's that woman? How did you manage to save her? From what she knew, Feng Da and the others shouldn't be people who like to meddle in other people's business. Miss, it's depressing to say that I didn't plan to save her at all. It was just that when she had a conflict with her fiancé, we were dragged into it. So, I had no choice but to help. Otherwise, that man would have killed me. Feng Da explained. There's such a thing? Looking at the depressed Feng Da, Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but laugh. It seemed like this was an unexpected disaster for Feng Da. Yes, ever since I accidentally saved her, my good days have come to an end. Feng Da put on a bitter face and said pitifully. Hee hee. Upon hearing this, Lin Yuan could not help but chuckle. You're still laughing? Feng Da glared at Lin Yuan and said fiercely. Don't you think it's funny? I've been here for so long, if I don't have these jokes, I'll be depressed to death. Lin Yuan said with some schadenfreude. He had almost become used to seeing one of them chasing and the other hiding every day. If he didn't see them for a day, he would feel that something was wrong. Just you wait after we leave this place, I'll challenge you to a one-on-one fight. Feng Da was so angry that he had to hold it in for a long time before he could say this. Let's fight one-on-one then, who's afraid of who? Lin Yuan didn't mind. Anyway, with Miss around, Feng Da couldn't do anything to him. Stop bickering. You haven't told me who that woman was. Lung Ruoxue saw the two of them bickering as if there was no one else around and could only remind them. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you will never lose 100 battles. She didn't want that woman to cause any trouble for them. We don't even know who she is. Even though she always asked, do you know who I am? However, she has never revealed her identity. Lin Yuan scratched his head and said in embarrassment. Ah. When everyone heard this, their foreheads were full of cold sweat. They thought to themselves, this matter is so troublesome, and they still don't know that woman's identity. Miss, do you want me to ask her? Lin Yuan saw everyone's expression and probed. There's no need to ask her, someone's coming. Lung Ruoxue said. As soon as she finished speaking, a young man strode up to them and said very politely, Good day, everyone. Murong Fei. What are you doing here? We don't welcome you. Feng Da looked at the young man and said in an unpleasant tone. This brother, we had some misunderstanding earlier and Murong and I, would like to apologize to you. Feng Da's reaction was within Murong Fei's expectations, but he wasn't angry. Moreover, he didn't expect that these people would have relations with the Ning family. In this case, he had to apologize sincerely. Feng Da shot a glance at Murong Fei and snorted coldly as he turned his head away. It was obvious that he was still angry. After all, no one would be nice to someone who had tried to kill them. Murong Fei. The young master of the Murong family? At this moment, Yu Chen, who had heard Murong Fei's self-introduction, said indifferently, Yes, young Master Yu, I've long heard of your great name. Murong Yuan nodded her head to express her goodwill. I don't dare. I should be the one who's been looking up to young Master Murong for a long time. Yu Chen replied courteously. Then he transmitted a message to Lung Ruoxue, Little Sister Ruoxue, this Murong clan is also one of the top clans in the divinity. Even though they are ranked behind our Yu clan among the many top clans, they have always been mysterious and no one would dare to look down on them. Therefore, if possible, try not to offend them at this time. Otherwise, if he uses some tricks behind our backs, we will also be in trouble. Lung Ruoxue nodded her head slightly. Before she could figure out Murong Fei's purpose for coming, she would of course not take the initiative to offend him. Hearing Yu Chen's words, Murong Fei knew that he was just being polite, so naturally she wouldn't take it seriously. After all, among the many young masters of the families, Yu Chen's reputation was rather great. However, he was giving him face, so he had to appreciate it. With a faint smile, Murong Fei opened her mouth again. Young Master Yu, who are these people? These three are from the Ji family. This is my little sister, her husband, and her subordinate. Yu Chen pointed at Lung Ruoxue and the others as he gave a simple introduction. Oh, I had some misunderstandings with them before, so I'm here to apologize and clarify the misunderstanding. Murong Fei smiled as she explained, and she swept a glance at Feng De and Lin Yuan. Is it a misunderstanding that you want to kill us? After hearing Murong Fei's words, Feng De questioned her coldly. At that time, I was in a fit of anger, so what I said was a little. I hope you don't take offense. Murong Di said shyly. It's fine if you don't want us to take offense. Just keep your fiancée in check and don't let her bother us. Well, pretend that nothing happened. Lin Yuan stated his conditions. I'll try my best, but Lin has been spoiled by her family since she was young, so she's a little willful. Murong Di said, but before he could finish, he was interrupted by Lin Yuan. You mean you can't control her? Lin Yuan said with a look of disdain. I'll try my best. Murong Fei said very implicitly. In fact, he really couldn't control that detestable woman and didn't want to control her. Then well, wait and see. Lin Yuan said with a smile. Murong Fei unwillingly nodded her head. She knew that this fellow didn't think highly of her, but she couldn't blame him for this. Who asked his previous performance to be like this? Initially, he wanted to get closer to Leng Ruoxue and the others. However, he saw that the crowd did not seem to welcome him, so he could only take his leave embarrassedly. After Murong Fei left, Leng Ruoxue looked at Feng De and Lin Yuan indifferently and asked, as long as he takes care of his fiancée, you really won't care about him trying to kill you? Feng De nodded his head heavily. As long as Murong Fei was able to control that top-quality woman, it didn't matter if he suffered a little. He was really frightened by that woman. Looking at Feng De's fearful expression, Leng Ruoxue laughed in her heart. It seemed like that woman was quite powerful. She could actually resolve the enmity between them and Murong Fei. However, this was good too. At least they could focus on the competition. Before Leng Ruoxue could put down her thoughts, an extremely mechanical voice suddenly rang out in the huge public square. Welcome to the Dream Dust space, everyone. I am the space spirit of this place. It's also the final decision for your competition. The mechanical voice spoke in a very calm tone. Furthermore, it was impossible to tell if it was a male or female from its voice. However, everyone present understood its meaning. It seemed like they were going to have a competition here. But it shouldn't be like this, right? Looking at the question marks on everyone's faces, the mechanical voice continued. The competition this time will be slightly different from the previous ones, but the results will be the same. So, just bring out your true strength, because the final winner of this competition will get a special prize. Chapter 1902, Chaotic Battle, 1, Special Award? Only a small number of people were happy to hear these words, while most of them had some doubts in their hearts. At least in their opinion, the special prize that the other party had mentioned was a little hot and not so easy to get. Thus, everyone fell silent. The mechanical voice sensed the calm reaction of the crowd. Although it was slightly surprised, it did not show it. Instead, it continued to coax, "Aren't you guys curious about what the special prize is and how you can get it?" In fact, what he didn't know was that it wasn't that most people weren't curious, but that the recent series of changes in the special space had made most of them extremely vigilant. After all, no one wanted to lose their lives here. As soon as the mechanical voice finished speaking, someone really asked, "What's the special prize? How can I get it?" The person who asked the question was a very wretched-looking young man. His shifty eyes were looking around restlessly, and there was a trace of a lecherous smile on his face. Those who didn't know would think that he was observing the situation here. In fact, his eyes were looking at the beautiful women here. Moreover, he felt that his eyes were not enough, and he wished he could have a few more pairs of eyes. No comment. The mechanical voice replied indifferently. "Didn't you want us to ask you? I asked but you didn't answer. What does this mean? You're playing with me." The wretched-looking man roared in anger. Seeing him being played like a monkey by the mechanical voice, many people couldn't help but burst out laughing. "What are you laughing at? What's so funny?" The wretched-looking man's face was flushed red, and his embarrassment turned into anger. Then he shouted at the empty space, "Damn it, you have to give me an explanation." "Why should I give you an explanation? This is my territory. If I want to tell you, I'll tell you. If I don't want to tell you, no one can force me. The mechanical voice said in a very characteristic manner. Oh really? We're the elites of the big families. If our families find out that you're toying with us like this, they won't let you off. The wretched-looking man was furious and couldn't help but threaten. When many people heard his words, they couldn't help but shake their heads. I really don't know which family this guy belongs to. How can he be so brainless? He actually dared to threaten his master in someone else's territory. Wasn't he courting death? Sure enough, not long after they thought about it, they felt a gust of cold wind coming from where they were. Then they heard Papa. The resentful and disgruntled man's face immediately swelled up, and blood continued to flow from the corner of his mouth. Everyone was shocked. The speed of the mechanical sound was so fast. They had just felt that something was amiss, and the vulgar man was already injured. However, they could tell that the mechanical voice was only trying to punish the vulgar man. Otherwise, he would not have been beaten up so badly. After the wretched-looking man was beaten up, not only did he not restrain himself, the hatred in his heart rose even higher. He roared at the void indignantly, "What a good guy who hides his head and shows his tail. If you have the guts, come out and fight one-on-one. What kind of ability is it to stab people in the back? You'll only be looked down upon." After he finished speaking, the people who were closer to him subconsciously stayed away from him to avoid being accidentally affected by him. However, the perverted man was still unaware. When he saw that the mechanical voice did not respond, he thought that the other party was afraid of him and could not help but feel smug. Unfortunately, extreme joy begets sorrow. Just as he was feeling extremely pleased with himself, his entire body suddenly twitched and white foam came out of his mouth. Then he fell limply to the ground. This time, the people present didn't even feel a slight movement. The vulgar man had already died. Seeing this scene, everyone was even more bewildered. This guy's old habit acted up again, or did he make a move? Now, they had no way to distinguish between the two. Everyone looked at each other and became even more cautious. As for the vulgar man's family, when they saw this, they didn't even dare to breathe loudly, let alone seek justice for him. Not long after, the mechanical voice finally spoke again. "How dare he act so arrogantly in my territory? I'll definitely let him know why flowers are so red." Now, everyone was finally sure that the man's death was related to the mechanical voice. Their hearts trembled, and they became even more careful. When Lung Ruoxue heard the mechanical voice's words, she couldn't help but feel speechless. It seemed like the phrase, "Why are flowers so red?" had already become a classic. Even this unknown person in the god realm knew about it. Indeed, anything was possible. If you have any questions, just ask. The mechanical voice continued. However, after hearing his words, no one dared to speak. After all, no one wanted to die. The mechanical voice was getting impatient with the silence. "Are you guys going to ask or not? If there's no problem, I'll kill you all directly. It's better than you being an eyesore here." The mechanical voice was very violent, and the consequences were very serious. When everyone heard his words, they felt extremely aggrieved. The person from before had also died. Now that they were asked to ask again, if their words did not win this person's heart, wouldn't they end up the same as the previous person? However, if they didn't ask, this person would destroy them again. This was clearly making things difficult for him. So, "You can't be such a bully." Everyone wanted to cry to death. After the mechanical voice finished speaking, it deliberately waited for a while. Who knew that most people were still remorseful and no one responded at all? Suddenly, the owner of the voice was furious. With 2 ear-piercing screams, 2 more people died. As for how the 2 of them had died, everyone was confused because they did not see or feel the other party's attack. However, the 2 of them had died. What a strange speed. What a strange technique. Everyone felt a chill down their spine, and their hair stood on end. Those who were less courageous had already begun to tremble. However, at the same time, the image of the violent mechanical voice had also been deeply engraved in the depths of their hearts. What was even more terrifying was that this was someone else's territory. They would probably be crushed to death as easily as ants. Seeing this, Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but frown. This guy was too casual when he killed people. It seemed like he really didn't care about the people here. However, she couldn't let the owner of the voice continue to be so brutal. It wasn't that she was a saint, but she was afraid that the weird guy who didn't play by the rules would hurt the people around her. At the thought of this, Lung Ruoxue smiled faintly and said, "What do you want us to ask? If we asked, would you answer us without reserve?" Chapter 1903, Chaotic Battle, 2. It depends on the situation. It depends on my mood. The owner of the mechanical voice said arrogantly. You killed them because of your mood? Lung Ruoxue understood. From the looks of it, he was also a willful and reckless fellow. Of course. The mechanical voice said matter-of-factly, and its tone was also very annoying, making many people's anger burst out. However, in view of how terrifying this guy was, no one dared to say what they were thinking. Oh, not bad. I really admire your carefree attitude. Lung Ruoxue complimented. However, her words caused some dissatisfaction among the people present, especially those families who had lost their members. That damned woman. What did you just say? You actually admire a guy who kills innocents? Someone immediately jumped out and criticized. What's wrong? I can't? Lung Ruoxue's beautiful face was filled with astonishment. Who is this guy? Of course not. Do you still have any humanity? He killed so many of our men, and you still admire him? Are you in cahoots with him? The man was so embarrassed that he became angry and tried to sow discord. You've never killed anyone? Lung Ruoxue ignored the person's words and asked indifferently. The man was at a loss for words. Of course, he had killed people before, but all cultivators had blood on their hands. But how is this the same? What's wrong? Are you thinking that you're also inhumane? Lung Ruoxue said with a smile that was not a smile. In a world where the strong were respected, there were many inhumane people. However, these people had all sorts of strange reasons for killing. Of course, there were also people like the owner of the mechanical voice who killed the other party because they did not like the look of the other party. This had nothing to do with human nature, but was due to the environment. These people couldn't possibly use the moral standards of the secular world to set a standard. After all, this was the divine realm. The man continued to be speechless. At this time, the mechanical voice snorted coldly. The man's face turned pale with fright and he immediately shrank back into the crowd, not daring to make a sound. Seeing his cowardice, everyone's faces revealed a look of disdain. He didn't have that much ability, yet he still dared to stand out. Wasn't this courting death? However, to Lung Ruoxue and the mechanical voice, it was just a small interlude. Neither of them took it to heart. As for the mechanical voice, seeing that it finally found someone to talk to, it magnanimously let the guy go. Then he turned to Lung Ruoxue and said, "Little girl, I think you're quite pleasing to the eye. If you have any questions, just ask. As long as it's something I can answer, I'll tell you everything I know." These two attitudes and two different treatments made everyone present envious. Many people even hated themselves for not being women. Look at the difference between before and after. Men were killed directly, and women were more pleasing to the eye. This was clearly gender discrimination. Although many people felt that it was unfair, in the face of the mechanical voice that was full of emotions, no one dared to stand out and express their thoughts. Thank you. I want to know, how are we going to proceed with the next match? The strength of everyone present is clearly not on the same level. If everyone were to compete together, it would seem unfair to us who are of lower strength. Lung Ruoxue replied bluntly after hearing the mechanical voice. You don't have to worry about that. When the match starts, the opponent's strength will be adjusted according to your own strength. This is also for the fairness of the competition. The mechanical voice explained. Oh, then how should we compete? Lung Ruoxue nodded and continued to ask. Anything. You guys can compete however you want, I won't interfere. The mechanical voice said irresponsibly. His words made everyone frown. What did he mean? They didn't understand. We can compete in any way? Lung Ruoxue was also a little surprised. Was this considered a competition? You can compete in any way you want. There are too many of you now. If we follow the usual competition format, who knows when we'll be able to compete? Therefore, I can only let all of you settle this on your own. Whether it's a one-on-one battle or a one-on-n battle, it's up to all of you. In any case, only 100 people will be left here in the end. As for the others, they can only pray for themselves. The mechanical voice laughed evilly. Ah. Lung Ruoxue finally understood. This fellow wanted them to have a chaotic battle first, leaving only 100 people behind before proceeding with the so-called competition. From the tone of the mechanical voice, she could tell that it was gloating over her misfortune. Only the final winner will get the special prize. The mechanical voice added. Can the special general be revealed? Lung Ruoxue asked again. Of course not. However, I can tell you that the special prize will definitely move everyone. However, only the final winner will know what the grand prize is. The others can only look at the prize and sigh. The mechanical voice said with a hint of excitement. Ha! The preliminaries will begin in half an hour. All the best, you guys. The mechanical voice spoke again, and then he disappeared. After the mechanical voice left, many people fell into deep thought. Of course, even more people were communicating with each other through voice transmission, discussing their plans. Lung Ruoxue and the others were no exception. Miss Lung, we'll listen to you on how to fight. Elder Yi said with a I'll follow your lead look. Lung Ruoxue nodded her head, then turned her gaze towards Yuqin, Ji-yun and the rest. Big brother Yu, Ji-yun, what about you? Lung Ruoxue. If it was possible, she naturally did not wish to fight with them now. However, the Yu and Ji families might not have such thoughts, so she had to clarify things first. Ruoxue. Of course, I'm following you. Upon hearing this, Ji-yun hurriedly said, Why are you following my Shuer? It's not like I don't have my own family. Hearing Ji-yun's words, the demon was unhappy. I mean, he'll listen to Ruoxue's arrangements. Ji-yun explained with an aggrieved look on his face. Why is this fellow so annoying? She always picked on him. You'll listen to whatever Shuer says? The demon raised his eyebrows and asked. Ji-yun nodded, his face filled with anticipation. What's the use of you listening? Will the Ji family listen to you? The demon said with a face of disbelief. I will. I have the final say here. Ji-yun said with a nod. Although the Ji family had sent their own elders to participate in the competition, his words still carried a lot of weight in the Ji family. As long as he agreed, those clansmen would not dare to object. If that's the case, then you should go and greet the Ji clansmen. Let's not make a move for now and deal with the others first. The demon laughed. He knew that Shuer had the same thoughts as him. However, he didn't want Shuer to say these words to Ji-yun. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.